I'm excited about today's show.
Absolutely.
This would be probably a good place if we had one to throw in a disclaimer, Dean. You know, the views and opinions of our guests are not necessarily the views and opinions of the show, but he was instrumental in us being here today, for that matter, because he was the co-founder of our brands. Big Brother Reno will be joining us. A personality that is bigger than life would be understating it. Not many people I can honestly say that about.
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
It would be understated to say he is bigger than life.
Hey, I'm going to tell you something. Had Bob Izumi invited Andrew or I to be on his show, this before us having a show, we probably wouldn't even have a show.
But one of the things I miss about the days when you and I were running this company is having somebody there that you could bounce stupid stuff off of. Because we talked so much crap and bullshit ideas, and because there were two of us, we were able to talk each other out of it. But we had crazy stuff happening like every day. You ever read?
Each other out of
like
it.
we'd always say, hey,
awesome.
why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? You know what I mean?
I thought that the reality show was really a piece of shit, quite frankly.
This episode of Outdoor Journal Radio is brought to you in part by the Invasive Species Centre, protecting Canada's land and water from invasive species. Freedom Cruise Canada, rent the boat, own the memories. J&B Cycle and Marine, your home for all things power sports, boats, and equipment. And Sail, the ultimate destination for your outdoor adventures. Howdy, folks. How are you doing today? I'm Reno Viola. He is Peter Bowman.
Doing all right, yeah.
Peter Bowman, are you excited?
I am excited about today's show, absolutely.
I'm excited about today's show.
Absolutely.
This would be probably a good place if we had one to throw in a disclaimer, Dean. You know, the views and opinions of our guests are not necessarily the views and opinions of the show, but...
You can pretty much bank on it with Reno, can't you?
You gave it away. I was going to say this next guy. I was coming up here in a few minutes. If you don't already know,
Dean can beat me.
Yes, he can. Yes,
he can. He can do a beeper.
He was instrumental.
You want to turn around a little bit? I think it's already given away.
All right. He was instrumental in us being here today, for that matter, because he was the co-founder of our brands. Although he never had any input in the creative part of the actual brands, but that's okay. I'm sure he will take claim for them, but that's okay. Big Brother Reno will be joining us. A personality that is bigger than life would be understating it. Not many people I can honestly say that about.
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
It would be understated to say he is bigger than life.
Yeah.
You'll find out. For those of you who don't know Reno and never met him before, we did have him on this show at the very beginning, but he spent, I believe, 20 or 25 years with the Fishing Canada brand and had a lead role in its success. No doubt about it at all. Although it might be questionable in some cases. We'll maybe dwell into some of that, but I'm going to try and keep it fairly on the straight and narrow. I'm going to do the best I can.
Really? You two on the straight and narrow. Okay.
I'm going to try.
We'll see.
I'm going to try.
We'll see.
Because I know that there are certain little buttons that can be pushed that
oh yeah, definitely
that.
Reno has buttons. He has a whole row of them. He's like a piano. He's got so many keys there.
It's funny. I was talking to somebody the other day about him because he comes up in the conversation quite often, and we both said when we realized when he left the company, which was 205. We both said, "Holy smokes! It seems like he's still there. It seems like it was yesterday." But 205 is when he was last involved in this company. Wow,
crazy.
Quite
the legacy, though. I have to say.
Oh my God,
for sure.
Can be the most wonderful person in the world. Can be the most incredibly
badass.
I'm trying to be politically correct here, and I'm having a hard time. Anyways, you judge yourself. He'll be on the show momentarily. In the meantime, Shop.fishingcanada.com is the place you need to be. If you want to get
is that another hoodie you're wearing? Another new one? How many
I
you
didn't
got?
want to say anything. I'm starting to collect them now. This is my favorite. This is the speckled trout.
Is the
version of
is
the
the Countess you get know that you're taking all of this
I'm not
inventory?
taking them. It's wardrobe. Not like I'm taking them, but I need the wardrobe so that we can market here on the show. What's a man going to do?
Gotcha. I got you.
So
I know what a man's got to do. I got to go talk to her too now, for Christ's sakes. Obviously, there's something.
Wardrobe, that's the key.
Wardrobe. Okay,
It's
let
wardrobe.
me write that down there. Wardrobe.
anyways, we have all the new items there. There's new items coming in. If you haven't been there for a couple of weeks, you'll see all kinds of new stuff.
That'd look really good with some dark jeans too.
Black
Imagine
jeans.
black jeans. That'd be like really good. that
Or
thing.
dark jeans. But anyways, like you said, dark jeans. You're right. Absolutely right. But it's wonderful. And the feel of this garment. I know
Quit
there's
touching
hoodies.
yourself, for Christ's sakes. You got to touch the hoodie.
I am.
You
The
sick
feel.
son of a bitch.
The feel of this garment, well, that's the problem, right? You can't translate the feel through video and audio. The only way you will ever know what I'm talking about right now is to have one of these and to feel it.
Where would they get said Brookie hoodie?
These are from the folks at Campus Crew who make.
Well, I didn't mean that. I meant, where are they going to buy one? You're saying they can have the feel.
I already
the only way
said
they can
that.
feel it.
Shop.fishingcanada.com.
reiterate
Well,
that.
you feel free to jump in anytime you want to kind of help
kind
do
of
your
like
part. I do all the heavy lifting around
teamwork
here.
here. I thought maybe I'll give you an extra shot at shouting out.
I do all the heavy lifting. Just ask our guest today who did all the heavy lifting. He'll tell you.
The truth will be told then. Okay, good.
Season 39 of the Fishing Canada show is airing as we speak. I
Yes.
think we've had the first 2 episodes air so far, and I got to tell you, and here's the weird part about this. And I know people are not going to be able to relate to it, but you can, I know.
What?
Peter and I see these episodes before they go out to the broadcasters, probably, from at various stages of completion, right? I would say we see them 5 or 6 times.
Yep. That's
Before we sign off on them and say, yep.
Average.
Yeah. Say 5 or 6 times. But I watch them also live on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, it's a different experience.
It is. Seeing it all together
totally
on the big
different
screen
experience.
at your house, right? It's different than, I watch them on a computer screen, which is, I mean, this is a much better way to watch a television show than on a computer screen.
But knowing that it's kind of live and it's happening.
It's finally hit.
You're part of the big picture now, right?
Yep.
But I got to tell you, the episodes so far, whoever needs to take responsibility for them, congratulations, hats off.
It's the team.
Production,
Entire team, I think.
The production of this year's, and I know I've been saying that a lot the last few years, but the production values on this year's series is through the roof. It's through the roof.
It looks great. It's funny, when you're saying that about to the audience doesn't really get, when they're saying, why do they watch it 5 times or what is it? Well, it's just the way it is. But every time we watch it, like last night when I sent you that email, I said I caught 2 more little mistakes that went by us 4 times at least, maybe 5 times at least. And I said, by the way, you can't pull this one over. I said, Ange and I, you can't pull the wool over our eyes here. And I have 2 shots at the boy. I give the 2 boys, and of course Joe's pissed off. That's one episode that I've done. He's already got it ready to go out back in the day, and get it ready to go out. I got to do another edit before we send it out. I got to do another edit. Bowman, shut up. You know what I mean?
That's why I said that's why he gets paid the big bucks.
That's why he gets
and
paid
by
the
the
big
way,
bucks.
I caught one on Roland Martin's show, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, we Pine Post Productions is the production company that produces Roland Martin, Fishing with Roland Martin. And so we do the same process on the Roland Martin show. We have to vet it at all levels before it goes to air. The episode I worked on this morning, I viewed it 3 times already, and I thought I was done with it. And then I reviewed it the 4th time, and I caught a little tiny something that we need to convey to the editors on. I made a note of it.
Right on.
But yeah, you keep every time you view it, you're looking through different lenses.
And you get
right?
kind of again very quickly. I'll say like last night, the last job I had here last night or yesterday, whatever, was watching a Fishing Canada episode, followed by a Roland Martin episode, followed by another Roland. See, these are all before they get to air. They're going to go to the, and by the time you get to that third episode, it's like you're thinking of the last episode and the one before it, and you miss a few little things here and there. And we're looking at these things. We're scrutinizing. Ange and I are scrutinizing these things as best we can. You know what I mean? We're looking for any little mistakes or bad edits or something. Just could we put something else or whatever? So we're really kind of fine-tooth combing it, I guess is what you'd call it. But it's what we do here too, right?
And it's not limited to just the fishing scenes. It's not limited to just what happened in the outdoors. It's not limited to post-production. It's not limited to audio. It's not limited to graphics. It's not limited to anything. It's everything.
Yeah, it's everything. You got to watch from start to finish of it. So that's what we do here. There you go.
What would they do without us?
I don't know. You think they'd be pissed off with those two little things, like, for instance, we talked about last night?
Yeah.
They probably wouldn't even see it. But if they did see it, they'd be pissed off.
You know what they're pissed off at? They're pissed off at saying, are you kidding me? Nobody's going to see that.
Right.
But we see it.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yep. There you go.
Anyways, I just wanted to.
Season looks great.
I just wanted to say this season. I don't even know what we're going to do based on the first 2 or 3 episodes that have aired of season 39. I don't even know what we're going to do for our big season 40, that's coming in 2026. I can't even imagine what that's going to look like. But it's going to be good.
I didn't catch any fish this season, folks, but everybody else did pretty good. Look at Big Stevie. Where did Stevie get that largemouth? That's a tank.
I know. It looks great.
I can't remember that.
That was Chaudière. The one
That was
under...
under the thing.
houseboat
Yeah,
thing,
yeah. That's the one.
So why didn't Petey catch a fish in this shot?
That's
season.
bad editing by me.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Petey did catch a fish.
I got one this season, folks, just in case you're wondering.
There's
It'll be show 7.
They would have already seen the Northwest Territories one.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Some
that's
nice
already
ones on
aired.
that
So
one.
yeah, I got one there.
Unbelievable. What an episode, man. What an episode. I don't know what else to say.
Oh, that was,
If you haven't, for whatever reason, and I wonder if there are people who listen to this podcast on a regular basis that don't even realize that there is a parade. That parade is the Fishing Canada show that happens every Saturday morning in this country.
wow.
And,
That's a great observation or
I'm
question
serious.
or whatever. Yeah.
How many people are right now are saying, what? What? The television? Yeah, we do a thing called the Fishing Canada show.
There are a lot of people nowadays that don't have television. They have just YouTube. They have just computers, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow.
They'd have to wait till this came out on YouTube, that show we're talking about. You know what I mean? So that is a possibility. It is profound.
And that happens, what, on the Monday following the Saturday?
Correct.
Yep.
Is that correct, Dean? Yeah,
that's
we're still
So
on that
the
schedule.
Monday following the Saturday, which also coincides with the release of the show South of the Border, which
Correct.
happens, I believe, on Tuesdays.
Yep.
South of the Border on the World Fishing Network.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow, there's a lot of moving parts to this gig, eh?
It really
A lot
is.
of
Come on now.
Thank you, Dean. I appreciate that. I saw that. I glanced at you. You were a little busy. Now I know what you were doing, looking for the button. Push.
I have the script up here. I'm just trying to make sure we're on track.
Dean does a lot of things in this show, Angelo. You gotta give him cut him a little slack every now and then, okay? If he's not on that button,
Did you see the way
instantaneously.
we worked that YouTube thing on Monday right in? I didn't even notice it. We're so good. I
Slick.
didn't even notice it was already written on the script.
We're slick. That's all. I mean,
That's a bunch of bullshit.
What we did miss.
Now, Dean was on that one pretty quick, I have to say.
Oh, he loves that. Yeah. What we did miss is telling you that we also air on the Sportsman channel here in Canada right
Channel
after
Canada, yeah.
Global airs it on Saturday. I think Sportsman channel starts it on Mondays. So we're on Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday
Wow.
every week
Come on
somewhere
now.
It's no wonder we're so
on
popular.
television.
You know?
Yeah.
Damn.
If you do say so yourself. That would have been a drum roll. Thank you. Beautiful. We'll get you. Listen, it's only been, 3 years? We'll get you up to speed here sooner than later.
It's coming.
Dino, you're good, buddy. Don't you worry, Dino. You're doing a good job, buddy.
Come on now.
Johnny B _fishing via Instagram on listener feedback. Johnny B _fishing, just with an IN, not an ING. Fishing via
It's
Instagram.
almost ours, but with an extra I in there, right? Same as fishing.
In response to episode 148, snakehead tastes better than walleye. That was with Joe Stormelli, I believe, right?
Correct, Mundo.
Says, Buddy and I tried bowfin, and it was incredibly good. I mean, wrapped in a wonton and deep fried, just about anything tastes good, though.
That's so true. That's true.
But this was firm and meaty and surprisingly enjoyable. I think a lot of coarse fish come from warm water, and meat quality has to do with handling and attention to temperature after the fish is caught and dispatched.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is that the coarse fish have to be handled a little bit differently than predator fish because most of them are from warm water.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, it makes sense in that sense, but I think you should do that with all your fish. You should put a drop of, if you're going to kill it and dispatch it and bleed it and put it on ice right instantly in your live well or in your cooler in a boat. That's your best way of taking care of fish too, right? So now maybe they spoil faster. I know, was it Joe that told us, was it the gar pike?
The gar, yeah.
That they, after 2 hours, it's mush or whatever it was. So there's some that are worse than others. But I think that's a good practice just to keep it, to do as best you can for any of the meat, right? I
would think. He's saying it alters the taste, though.
I don't know.
How do you wrap a fish in a wonton, though? Have you ever, what is?
Well, before when the
Wontons have
wonton
pork
is
in 'em.
rolled, it's still raw, right? You're thinking of wonton when it's all done, but before it's done, you take the wonton pastry,
like the dough.
the dough, and you
Wrap it around
wrap
pork.
it
It's
around
pork,
it.
isn't it?
Oh, that'd be
Normally in a
good.
wonton is pork of some type.
That'd be good.
I think
It would be good,
it'd
actually.
great.
That's a great idea.
Not a bad idea at all. Now,
Johnny B.
All I have to do is find some gluten-free, wheat-free wonton.
I wonder if there probably is out there now.
Of course it is.
I'll bet
You
you.
can get anything gluten-free.
Can you?
Yeah.
Really?
Anything. I mean, literally any.
Why are you gluten free? Is it sugar and gluten? Is it what's the deal there?
I just feel better without wheat. Does that make
Wow.
sense? Yeah. But it's also, it started with the sugar issue, right? So I figure if I avoid all wheat products completely, I'll avoid having to look at all the. Have you ever looked at labels when you're shopping? Do you shop?
yeah.
First of all, do you grocery shop?
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
You
Why
heard it
not?
right here first on this show. Peter Bowman grocery shops.
Yes.
Because most people probably don't realize that.
Well, my wife does the bulk of it. I will say that. She is very good at it. Well, she's too good at it because I throw half the shit out because there's so much in our fridge right now. It drives me
Goes
freaking
bad?
nuts.
It goes bad.
Oh,
do you
my
have a household?
I don't start with this one because I'll tell you what. Yesterday, was it yesterday? A pack of blackberries fall out of the fridge and all over the floor, open up all over the floor. Because there's so much shit in my fridge. She knows it because I give her shit all the time.
packed too much in there.
Too much, honey.
And the refrigerator doesn't really have a good time with that because it can't
Days.
circulate.
Couple
can't
days,
circulate
yeah.
the
Yeah.
cold air.
Yeah. And then see my freezer. Holy shit. We bought those
Freezer?
steaks. Why? Because of all those, maybe we got freezer, you brought her here. Because we got all the walleye in there we could eat. We got all that venison my buddies gave me and all that. Oh, let's not get that out. So anyways, it's my fault as much as anybody's because I should just get the shit out and leave it on the counter and say, we're eating this tonight.
That's it.
I should say that.
But since I've been reading these labels,
I do read labels.
do you?
I get that Yucca app. You have that Yucca app?
No, see, I know. I want to do it manually.
No,
Old
but this-
school, hands-on,
This has
eyeballs,
nothing to do
brain.
with manually. This is to give you the good versus bad versus ugly.
Yeah, I just want to know what's in it.
Right?
My only interest is
You
what's
could
in
still
this
be
thing,
eating
and
shite.
then I'll make an intelligent decision as to whether I can consume it or not. That's my thinking.
Okay.
What I did not realize is that there's so much sugar in everything. Everything. I mean, stuff that you would say, no, there's no sugar in that. Yeah? Yeah, there is. There's sugar in it.
But you can't stop sugar completely. You don't have to stop sugar completely. You are an extremist. You know you're an extremist. You admit to it. You're an OCD extremist, and you can have some sugar.
Well, if a little is okay, none has got to be better. That's my thinking. If they say, well, you can have
Why?
a little bit
That's
of
all
sugar.
I say is why.
Because I can.
Why?
Because I can.
You're not going to live like that the rest of your life. I know you. You're going to fall off the wagon. You're going to have something sugary.
You have no faith in me, huh?
Our Christmas dinner we just had not too long ago.
Yes.
Did you have any
Nothing.
sugar in there?
None.
Zero
I didn't
sugar.
I touched nothing with sugar.
Is there any sugar in booze?
Maybe.
Is there any sugar in cigars?
Maybe.
Because I know somebody that dove a little deeper into that stuff.
Speaking of which, did you notice all those empty bottles this morning in the cafeteria?
Yes, I noticed, and that was a weird
So
one, seeing empty booze bottles by the Keurig machine. That was kind of weird.
I questioned some people after I saw that.
Yes.
That if they had any information that might lead us to the answers that you and I had.
Nobody's admitted to setting those bottles out there?
So the only thing that was sort of floated down the river was that, well, maybe it evaporated. Somehow it evaporated out of the bottles.
I don't know if alcohol
It
can
happens,
evaporate.
I think.
Does it?
Oh, yeah. I think it happens.
So Dean's guilty.
Dean
'cause
was
he
one
just
of the
said-
ones. Well, he
Dean's
was one of the
guilty, he
ones
just
who
said
said maybe it evaporated. You know?
Obviously, Dean had a shot this morning before this podcast.
So Johnny B. Fishing via Instagram.
Thanks, Johnny B. That was good.
Says
Bowfin.
he's tried it. It's good.
Dogfish.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I heard that ling or dogfish or whatever it's
But
called.
ling's not a dogfish. Ling's a burbot. Right?
Ling is
I
a
think.
burbot. I'm sorry.
And they're supposed to be really good.
But dogfish, what we call what's the actual name for dogfish? Bowfin is very good. Apparently,
There you go.
very consumable. I've never tried it, but apparently it is.
Scaly, nice scaly, but not like a gar scaly. They're like more like a bass scale thing. I think, you know what I mean. Protected skin, and yeah, should be good.
You know what that means, huh?
Oh,
It's time for this week's Conservation Corner.
speaking of which, right? Is that what you're trying to say to me?
Time for this week's Conservation Corner, and it's all crossed out. Was this your copy? Go ahead.
Did
Oh,
you?
I see why. See, we have the old script here about the Sportsman's Club in Windsor.
I think that, well, it's going on. It's
Yeah,
still
this
going. It's
is-
still up and coming.
Yeah, it's still
I
up
got
and
that.
It's still
happening
pertinent.
there. I got that. This
That's
was
my
yours.
script that I
saw
scratched
you.
out. I scratched out that last week.
Well, go ahead.
And then
No,
I did that.
no,
and the reason I did that is because I'm so ahead of myself that I'm beyond, right? And I already thought it had happened. I think maybe December 28th or something like that. You know what I mean?
Wow,
So
you were like,
yeah,
you're
I want my life to be
far-
gone, right? I want my life to be just let's get it over with, and I can just move on way up in the heavens if I go there.
I can only dream one day of being, half as advanced as you are. That's all I dream about. Half.
Then you'll have 1 foot stuck in the mud instead of 2. That's it.
This week's Conservation Corner brought to you by Asian Carp Information Session is the content, but it's the Invasive Species Centre.
I wonder where you're going with that one. That's good.
Just
I like
change
that.
it up. I need to
I like
change it up
that.
a little bit. Sometimes in life you have to do that. Just to give it a bit of a different sound.
Yeah, they're going to put on this talk in Windsor, the Windsor Sportsman Club.
Coming up next week, I believe, or the week after, January 28th.
January 28th,
It's
very,
upon
very
us.
soon.
It's afoot, as
Depends
they say.
on when they listen to this podcast, right? Because
True,
this is
true.
Any time, any place sort of thing like that. So
So you can go there and get all the information firsthand live from the people who know, not idiots like us, the experts, the scientists.
this is good
In fact.
stuff. When you go to something like this, I have said this before during this ad, but it's very good information when you're learning about, well, people that in the know that are talking about stuff that pertains to us, but we don't quite know what's going on. The Invasive Species Center people are going to, this is just a grass carp thing, but it's going to be anything. You could talk about anything. The questions are going to come up about, I'm sure there's going to be a rusty crayfish question. There's going to be something else because it always delves into something else, right?
Yeah,
So
the marbled crayfish is
Marbled
hot
crayfish.
in the news
Yep.
as of late, huh?
Yep.
We'll be talking
So-
about that pretty soon. Anyways, join the Invasive Species Center for the Grass Carp Information Session, January 28th, 6 to 9 p.m. at the Windsor Sportsman's Club. Sportsman. I always say sportsman.
it's a natural thing to do.
Damn.
I get you. I get you.
I was so
I hear that.
wanting not to do it.
We could
this
get Dean
time.
to edit that ass off of there.
Come
maybe,
on
the
now.
sportsman.
Nah, I kind of blew it now already. I should have just let it go and then asked him to edit, but I already.
See how good he actually is, right?
There'll be booths and the aforementioned experts making their presentations and a Q&A where you can talk and ask all of the burning questions that you may have about this very, very, very delicate subject. And if you do that, not only will you be getting complimentary food and beverage, which, by the way, the last time I attended one of those, that was the highlight for me, was the food, because that's when I used to eat food and beverages. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes,
And it was
indeed.
spectacular. So
was very good.
Yeah, there will
There was
be
gluten in there and everything.
everything. I just shoved it down. I
Sugar
didn't
and
care.
gluten
Yeah.
and the whole 9 yards. And I'm sure they're going to have some more gluten and sugar there than at this one. So
Anyways, if you do there, go there and get the complimentary food and beverages and the Q&A and all of the information about grass carp and the dangers of said beast. You will also have an opportunity to win a Yeti backpack cooler valued at $400, kids.
nice prize, nice bonus.
I would have thought maybe a
Somebody's
round of
gonna-
applause. I know he's looking at the buttons.
I don't have that button.
Oh, where did it go?
How about a hell yeah? You can do a hell yeah.
Give me a hell yeah.
Oh, that's good
why
enough
not?
for
We
that
gotta
backpack cooler.
how do we get you more buttons now that you're an expert?
I need
on
another board.
We spend a
Is that
little
what
bit
it
more
is?
money.
Second
Hinch.
board, yeah.
Got to spend some more money, buddy.
an upgrade?
An upgrade would be nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Can we upgrade that board? Is that
Yeah, there's a new one out.
Oh my!
And it has more.
Oh my.
That's right. And it has more buttons.
I think it might, yep.
Wow.
We got to have more buttons. Dean needs more buttons.
So
Button,
whether you're a
Who's got the
seasoned
button?
angler or just starting out in this passion we call fishing, help us protect the Great Lakes and all of the other waterways that we love.
Yes.
And mark your calendar, January 28th, Windsor. And you know what? It's worth the drive. If you're not from the Windsor area and you're close by, maybe a couple hours away, what would be the geographic circle?
London might be the closest
London.
big city. It's still a little bit of a run to
Yep.
Windsor, but
U.S., if you're just south of the border, the other side of Windsor, I mean, you can just cross over.
Tecumseh. Tecumseh is not that far from there.
No.
So
Check it out, January 28th, in a couple of weeks, 6 to 9 p.m., Windsor Sportsman Club. Dean will see you there, by the way.
Come on now.
Dean the Machine.
In the news, Mr. Bowman.
Where are we here? Okay, in the news, written by Joe Cermelli, one of our buddies,
yes.
for Field and Stream, in response to California Bass Fishing Guide's post about eating largemouth bass, which is quite strange for California to be writing something about that, right?
Yeah, very.
This, I guess Joe wrote this, Joe wrote this. Thanos may have been onto something. Too many mouths to feed, so he halved the population of the universe. Something similar has been observed throughout the fisheries and biologists across the nation. With the onset of extreme catch and release, because let's be honest, compared to 35 years ago, we are probably considered extreme catch and release.
We're anal about catch and release.
And the public and very vocal shaming of anybody seen harvesting bass.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we're all guilty of that one to some extent because we
don't even like talking about it.
I know, it's
you notice
true.
that?
It's like put the cross up to the vampire.
Yeah.
Don't talk about that. You know what I mean?
When the truth of the matter is, that's a very tasty fish. We talked earlier on about the bowfin and garpike and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried smallmouth bass? Yes.
Yes, we
And
have.
it is
and it's
fantastic.
very good. Yeah, but it's basically, he says, we've created a culture where keeping no bass has become the norm, and that is very true for the modern day bass angler, let's just say. The result here in Southern California, for example, growth rates have been reduced to a third of what they were 10 to 30 years ago. A fish at the end of his lifespan may be 6 pounds instead of being 10 to 20 pounds. Genetics mean nothing when there isn't enough space for the food to grow around. Enough food to go around. So obviously they're talking about, and I can't not disagree with this. If you're culling out the smaller fish for the bigger fish's sake, then why not? You know what I mean?
Well, but I'll tell you why not. Because there's two train of thoughts there. Because some people will tell you that maybe we should be calling the bigger fish, not the smaller fish, right? There's that argument as well. Which one do you buy into, right?
I can't see that one working versus the smaller to the larger. I just can't. The little guys are very competitive. They're very fast. They're very voracious. I know those big bass are very selective in eating. You know what I mean? So they would be last at the table. A trophy in Canada, we're in Canada here. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's say an 8-pound largemouth. She only eats when she wants to eat. You know what I mean? When she needs to eat, sort of thing. Those little guys are trying to gain weight. Those 12 inches, 14 inches, they're even less than that. They're just they're on a kill mission almost.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and they're faster, et cetera, et cetera. So if you were to leave some of that bait by culling out the smaller fish, leaving more bait for the bigger fish. That's what I think they're trying to say here. What Joe's trying
So
to
you
say.
think that let's use some numbers here so it makes sense. So the consumption of protein by an 8-pound largemouth.
Why do you have to call it protein?
Yeah, because it could be anything,
Just
right?
food.
It's protein for them,
Okay.
just like it is for you.
Okay.
The only reason you should eat is for protein.
I need carbs.
No, bad.
No, carbs are good.
Bad.
Carbs give you energy.
Anyways, yeah, and you need carbs. That's right. That's what it is. You're
I'm a complex
so
person,
carbed
so
up.
I need complex carbs.
All right. So we take an 8-pound bass.
Kill it, right? You're saying?
No, I'm just asking the question
Yeah, I know.
because it
I'm
was
just
asked of
jumping
me.
the gun here.
So the consumption of food by an 8-pound bass would be less or more than 3 2-pound bass, in your opinion.
Whoa, I lost my ear, sorry. I would say less.
So
I would say
so
less.
The 8-pound
But
bass,
I'm not a biologist. I can't answer that question. I just
8-pound
guess.
bass would consume less.
Less than the 3
Yeah.
2-pounders.
Did you ever think that maybe that 8-pound bass is capable of consuming one of those 2-pound bass?
Sure.
Right. But the
Probably
2-pound
could.
bass is not capable of consuming a 2-pound bass.
No.
Right. So if your thinking is that we should kill those 3 2-pound bass, but let the 8-pound bass live because
I said 14
of food.
Inches. 14 inches, not 2 pounds yet.
Whatever
I
it
said the
is.
number.
Okay, pound and a half. I don't care. Pound,
Yeah.
pound and a half. It doesn't matter. I just did it.
Yeah.
Then that thinking would be flawed because I'm sure that 8-pound fish takes its toll on those 14-inch fish.
Picture. Jesus.
I'm trying to be serious
Oh,
here.
my. It looks like you, by the way.
And there's a reason why I'm asking you this question.
Okay, I ask a simple question. The truth.
I've forgotten what
I
the
only
reason
wish.
is now that you've thrown me off, but there was a reason I was going
Okay.
down this road.
Okay. You
Oh,
got-
I know
you
the
got
reason.
A thought pattern.
Because the other thought pattern that I've been confronted with on this issue, because I really don't, I don't have a clear picture one way or the other.
Right.
Which is better, to be honest with you.
Right.
Because the thinking is,
don't
if I catch an 8-pound bass, and I do what people are going to do with an 8-pound bass after they caught it, they're going to ooh and ah. If you're Jimmy Houston, you're going to kiss it and get germs in it, whatever the case may be. I say that because I'm watching him in those Roland Martin shows.
Is there a fish he doesn't kiss?
No. But they're going to handle it. They're going to take photos. They're going to do this, that, and then they're going to release the fish. The small 14-inch fish are going to be released instantly back into the drink. Nobody's going to fondle them like they will an 8-pounder, right?
Okay.
And they're young, and they're full of all of those
Piss and vinegar.
Exactly. So I question which fish is going to probably survive the ordeal of being caught. Is it the little fish or the big fish? And the answer is obvious. The little fish stand a better chance of surviving
I'll give you that one.
to live to adulthood. So you have 3 fish that could live to be 8 pounds one day versus the one fish that's already at 8 pounds, which means it's probably at the end of its reproduction cycle.
It could be very much close to it, yeah.
I rest my case.
If she spawns once or twice more, though, if she has another year or two in her, she's going to give
That's
you
an
the
if.
best quality fish in that lake versus that 2-pounder that might grow to 2.5 pounds at the biggest and give you shite quality. A lot of ifs in there.
A lot of ifs.
Right?
It's not cut and dry.
Which would taste better, in your opinion, an 8-pounder or a 1.5 pounder?
Oh, 1.5, without doubt. If you're
I would
thinking
say-
strictly for consumption purposes.
I would say if they're going to do that anywhere like this here, you need to put a. In my opinion, my side of this story is you need to put a size limit on that. You cannot kill a bass, catch and keep a bass over 16, 17 inches, whatever that number may be. So you got maybe a slot, maybe whatever like that. If you want, if you need to get the numbers down.
Dean, have we totally destroyed your concept of the story being
Nope.
talked
No,
about?
that's where I was hoping it would go.
Oh.
You guys are
Hey.
good.
Did we do good, Dean?
You guys are great.
We done
Okay, well
good?
then give us something for it. Give us a...
Come on now.
all right, come on now.
Give me a hell
Hell
yeah.
yeah. Hell yeah.
I like that.
Anyways, it's there. I'm assuming this is up on fishingcanada.com, the whole story.
We're going to do a version of it. This is Joe Cermelli's story with Field and Stream. It popped up on my feed.
You can't
so-
funny,
pirate,
there's a
you
great-
can't pirate
I can't
it.
pirate it.
There's
no.
a great little comment here, and this is what Hans and I were just saying there, is that Shan O'Gorman, biologist and manager of private lakes and ponds, too many anglers think they know better than scientists.
Right.
That's a great point.
That's a
You know what I
wonderful
me're
point.
sitting here yakking, and we don't know shit about this. We're just
Nothing.
guessing our opinions and blah, 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 but we don't know shit about this. So.
We should float this by Reno. He'll have an opinion on that. Not bad, eh?
Come on
He
now.
would, yeah.
He knows everything.
He would. Yeah.
Time. So check it out. So when are we going to have the thing up on our site, Dean?
When this
version?
is up, we'll have a version of this, and then I'll link to the full story.
the full story
Joe.
with Joe's story. It's a great story. Yeah.
It is. I wonder where it's going to go. That's a
know.
good question.
Speaking of questions, fan question of the week brought to you by fishfindermounts.com.
Come on now.
Fishfindermounts.com.
5 syllables in that.
I was looking at
I
our
like
Princecraft boat just the other day with all of the...
What'd you think of her? You like her?
Well, I like it. I tried to envision it bare, though.
Bare naked?
Naked, without all of the fishfindermounts.com
We need to
attachments.
put Dean. Remind we got some good aerial shots showing our boat with the attachments. It looks
Yeah,
crazy. It looks like the freak, like
Looks
these
like we're
microphones are sticking.
electroshocking the fish, is what it looks like.
Yeah, it would look different for sure, but
Anyways.
it would perform different too. Not as well. I'll tell you that right now. For us, anyways.
It might force me into retirement. I'll tell you right now. Fan question of the week brought to you by fishfindermounts.com.
Come on now.
By
Check them
submitted
out.
by Quentin Humber from Ontario via YouTube. I started to catch on
I
here
love that
via
name.
YouTube.
How you
Quentin-
doing, Quentin
Yeah, how you-
Humber?
yeah, hello, ladies. Does trolling still have a place in your guises? Guys?
Guises.
Guys, there's no such a word as guises.
I think there is. Didn't we
It's
go through this
guys.
once before? I believe there is. I think Nick was the one who got us straightened out
Nick,
with that.
did we get straightened out with that? Guys is a correct is a
Guises.
word. Wow,
It
it's
is.
a horrible word.
But it's true.
It's true, guys. And I used to make fun of people saying that. Now we got to
Guises.
say it. Your guys' fishing repertoire. I get it. Probably doesn't make great for great TV. Well, we'll talk about that.
yeah.
But how often do you use it to help find fish or simply get some fish for the pan? Great
So-
question, Quentin.
Come on now.
I wonder if Quentin's a troller. I bet he's a troller.
A
troll.
He's got to be.
I hope he's
for
not a
sure.
troll.
There are some cases where, and we'll see them on season 39 that's airing right now as we speak on the Fish and Canada
Yes,
show.
right.
There are some cases where it is not only an alternative, but sometimes it's the only alternative that will work, and that is trolling. And
Yeah.
I would say I would add one more thing to it. Probably a lot more back trolling than regular forward trolling, so that we can have a little more control. But even trolling,
On those small lakes, for
Yeah,
sure, with a little
yeah.
tiller boat. But with our big boat, yeah, we still
Yeah.
troll. We'll troll either with the big Mercury or we will troll with the Garmin Kraken. We will do
Oh,
either
that
way.
is
You know
so
what I mean?
much
So
fun.
we have both options like that. And yeah, we'll definitely troll, to answer Quentin's question, for TV. And you know what? I beg to to differ in that or argue that point. I think it still makes good TV. I mean, I don't mind trolling shows. Just what's the difference? You're trolling and telling somebody about the techniques you're doing versus casting and telling somebody else. Maybe there's not much moving around, but still. And it's such a powerful way of catching fish. You know what I mean?
And a lot of fun too, may I add, because it gives the anglers, especially if you're with a friend or family member or your fishing partner, it gives you an opportunity to have some really meaningful dialogue, which is kind of cool, because if you're casting all the time, moving and casting, there's so many layers to that onion, so many things that have to be done constantly that you kind of miss out on the opportunity to share it with
you don't have a chance
partner.
to smoke a cigar with your buddy. You know what I mean? We do that the odd time.
I didn't want to say that. But.
Well, we do that the odd time out there. But it's super effective, let's be honest. If you're trying to cover a bunch of water, more open water maybe than anything, but not even that, some structures, et cetera, then trolling is a great option. And as Ange says, back trolling, forward trolling, and everything in between. You start adding in the element of your electronics in there, like our live scope. We spin that into reverse, and all of a sudden you've added that element in there. You put in some planer boards in there. You put in some snap weights in there and different dive curves and different sizes of the same bait. You know what I mean? Like a Yozuri crystal
It doesn't
minnow
have
diver.
to be boring, in other words.
No.
You don't have to just sit there all day long if you're not catching anything and just have at it. You take the opportunity to experiment, like Pete just said. And now with the advent of live scope, you can see fish reacting to your bait, and it helps you decide on depths. Before, without eyes under the water, in trolling mode I'm talking about, it was hard to determine what zone those fish were apt to be biting in, and now you can actually see it, and you can also see how they react to certain baits.
Right. Exactly.
So.
And trolling your bait like that depth. If you want to be a foot or two above the bottom, you need to be a foot or two above the bottom. Yeah, you can let your bait get down there and touch the bottom, but you might pick up a bunch of weeds or sludge or something. This way you're watching it. So very accurate.
So thank you, Quentin Humber from Ontario via YouTube. By the way, can we mention
There we go.
at this
Absolutely.
point? Dean, is this still valid? We are still giving this away?
Yep, that's right. We are.
Okay. Does that mean that Quentin received one?
He will. Yep.
Okay,
After
perfect.
the show, he will.
And what we're referring to is the $100 Fishing Canada store coupon that we are making available to anybody who submits a question via YouTube.
And
subscribes
thank you
to this show via YouTube. So if they do it on Spotify or Apple or any of the other platforms, you're not going to
We'll
reward
ignore
them?
them for the time being.
for the time being.
So this is a limited time offer.
Yeah, we can change it whenever we want.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the next few weeks, get yourself a $100 fishingcanada.com coupon. And is this everybody or just people who use
Just the people we pick, and then you're actually supposed to tell me if the question deserves it.
Right, we're going to be the judge.
Yeah.
So it's at this point, Quentin has not qualified yet. Yes, he has submitted it via YouTube. Yes, he did subscribe. How do we know he subscribed, by the way?
I checked that before I put it on the sheet.
Okay, so yes, he subscribed. So he's got 2 of the 3 check marks. Now he's waiting for his third and final to confirm or deny him the $100.
You know what we need to do? We need to take a great question from a non-subscriber, put it on here. Great question, buddy. We would have won $100 if you subscribed. And then say, oh my God. Well, we'll shame them,
Oh, you like
subscribe,
that.
son
You're
of a bitch.
devious, eh? You're a devious son of a bitch.
Well,
aren't
if
you?
they're not, if we're not getting, let's work with them first and get the subscriptions. But if they're not doing it, we're going to say, well, we're sorry there, Quentin. You had a great question. And Hans was going to give you 100% yay on that one, but bye-bye now.
Well, that's not the case here with Quentin, so that
I'm
ship
just saying
has
that
sailed,
question.
unfortunately. But yeah, I
There's
like
a good.
your thinking.
Okay, so this question obviously was deemed well. So this is the kind of question you want, right? This is what Angelo's ultimate decision is looking for.
I like it.
Yeah.
I
So there
see
you go.
nothing wrong. It was well composed. The subject
Repertoire,
matter.
guises.
You've got big words.
Guises, I
repertoire,
like that.
Guises.
Brought a lot, talking about fish to hit the pan,
I think congratulations. Quentin
Come on now.
Humber from Ontario via YouTube. Congratulations. You got yourself 100 buckaroos.
And we
worth
got ourselves a new subscriber, too.
there. I didn't even think of that, Peter. Wow. You're brilliant. That's why you're you.
Thank you.
And I'm not. I just want to point this out, though, Quentin. You might want to go to fishingcanada.com or the store and have a look at this baby. This is one of our new offerings on the site. Beautifully.
So he can put that $100
embroidered.
towards that right there, right?
He can buy this. He can
That's what I
literally
mean.
buy this. This is and I think he gets changed. Do they get changed, Dean? How does this work?
Yeah, they can put whatever they want in, and then it'll cover the balance. So
So you can get a hat as well, maybe, or something like that. If it costs them $10 extra, well, that's
But there
perfect.
is no cash value for this coupon.
Hell no.
Because, I mean, if Quentin, for example, he already has one of these. By the way, I'm pointing one of these, but there are, I don't know how many SKUs on that site.
There's nobody with more than you in this whole world that has this stuff, and you don't have it all.
wardrobe,
Right?
buddy. Wardrobe.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Let's not be
What
literal.
what I want to say, though,
Figurative.
Quentin, no, you can't have the cash. All right? Just so that we have that perfectly clear. Has no cash value.
Zero. Don't use it at the store, you don't get anything.
The humble goldfish, everyone's favorite aquatic pet. It's small, easy to care for. What's there not to love?
Even the cat may be mesmerized by the color and movements of your aquarium friends. Goldfish are great at home, but don't let them loose.
Releasing goldfish or other domestic aquatic pets or plants into natural environments is harmful to both your pet and the planet.
Goldfish disrupt ecosystems by outcompeting native species for food and resources in degraded habitats. They contribute to algae blooms, they kill aquatic wildlife, and pass viruses and diseases contracted in aquariums to wild fish.
They could even live up to 40 years and grow as big as a football. Anglers, this is where you come in. If you find a goldfish at your local fishing spot, report it to the Invading Species Hotline or go online to eddmaps.com.
Remember to never dump your live bait into the water and risk spreading other aquatic invaders. Keep our lakes free from invaders and don't let them loose.
FishfinderMounts.com, your leaders in transducer and live sonar deployment. Magnetic transducer technology, portable power systems, screen mounting, and also servicing the research sector. Everything you need to mount and power your fish finder at FishfinderMounts.com.
Alrighty, let's get to the main
I can't wait.
The main fish du jour.
The main man.
As it were. This segment brought to you by Sail, the outdoor store. All good things outdoors, including, by the way, fishing, ice fishing.
Ice fishing and
Which
fishing.
is very, very hot right now, so to speak. Hello.
Good one.
Come on now.
But also clothing, footwear. Of course, they have regular rods, reels, hunting, all
kinds
things
of stuff.
outdoors.
You name it, they've got it if it's for the outdoors.
And
They've
if you
got it.
don't have a sale store near you, which you probably don't, because most of us don't, although we're lucky we do have one not far from
blocks
us.
away from us.
But if you don't, just visit them at sale.ca. That's sale.ca, and get online, and you can shop through there. I don't even know how many SKUs they have, but it's in the thousands.
Why you got to talk like that?
Well,
SKUs like
yeah,
that.
I know it's sophisticated and a little.
It's very,
I got to dumb it down. I don't know how many things they have.
Remember who
Mr.
you're
Bowman.
sitting beside here, right?
But
Things.
they
I
have-
like things.
They
That's
have
good.
a whole batch of them for sure, and they still have up to 60% off. I'm told, although kind of weird. You think that all the sales are over now, but hey,
It
that's sale.
seems like they're rolling it over all the time. They'll find something else to put on sale, then they'll find something else to put on sale. There's always, you go into the clearance part of the website.
Actually, yeah, I checked
It's
out
good.
Online. Their clearance thing is pretty cool.
Yep.
Very cool. That's all happening at Sale. Sale.ca for all your outdoor needs.
Come on now.
This next gentleman, he really doesn't need an introduction, but for those of you who have been living in a cave for the last, 40 years, he is
I
the...
wonder if we have new viewers, then they might not, people.
Yeah.
Maybe.
He's a co-founder of the Fishing Canada show, and my partner and brother, former host of the show as well. He retired in 2005. Holy smokes!
Holy shit! Not holy smokes. Holy shit! Wow.
He's in the Canadian Hall of Fame. Big brother Reno, welcome to the show, buddy.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
How's it going, bud?
Fantastic. I love the cottage. How long have you had that?
That's the cabin in the wild from the show, from the Fishing Canada theme song, right there.
Ever since I did a Quebec shoot, this has been my favorite set.
Attaboy.
Figures.
C'est bon. That's perfect.
You keeping well?
Yes, very well. You guys?
Good.
Yeah, we're doing good, buddy. We're doing
when
good.
was the last time you were on the show? Does anybody remember?
It was
Episode 5.
early on, way back.
Episode 5?
Episode 5, yeah.
Episode 5.
Episode
That's a
five.
long
Yeah.
time ago.
Yeah.
3.5 hours long.
Oh,
Was
is
it
that the longest show ever?
Longest one we've ever done.
Longest show ever. There you
show
go.
ever, Reno.
Why am
You
I,
just-
why am I not surprised?
Had to be Reno. I love it.
We wanted to bring you on because we're just a couple of months from embarking on our current shooting season. We're producing the 2026 television series, and it's our 40th. And so, who better to bring on to kind of walk through all those wonderful memories that we've got than yourself? So there you
basically,
go.
somebody who's a mere 40 years old.
Exactly, buddy. You started at 0 in diapers on the boat. Yeah.
Do you ever think of those early days when all of this insanity started? I mean, do you dwell on it at all? Or I mean, you've been removed from it for a while, so maybe not. I know we do all the time here.
I think about it every once in a while, and I'm thinking how we ended up doing what we did, and then just past that, our first shoot, where we thought we'd incorporate something really, really humorous from fishing in Bowmanville. I think it was Bowmanville on a creek, looking for salmon or trout.
Bob Yeoman's property.
Bob Yeoman's spot.
Is that where you guys started? Is that where the very first?
No.
the conception of it?
Rito's referring to the fact that we
With the show.
opened the show in Florida.
Right.
Right?
No. We went to Florida. From there we threw to Florida.
Oh, we threw to Florida.
No, it was Bob Yeoman's backyard with a little creek going through it. That was our set.
Ah, okay.
And so we'd be fishing and we'd be throwing to the next segment, which in that particular case was Florida. Now,
So did you throw to yourselves? Were you guys the ones fishing? You were fishing your
of course. Hey, we were talking wow, I don't even remember what year it was.
Early
84 or something like that?
40
Yeah,
years ago.
Yeah, so you know what? We were flying by the seat of our pants. I mean, it was weird.
Yeah.
It was really good, but it was weird.
Did you guys ever have there wasn't a whole lot of fishing shows out there at that time? Probably. I mean,
Well,
Red Fisher was there, and
Everybody
Izumi I think
who-
started a year before that. or something.
Red was finished. He retired. He had
Okay,
retired.
I'm just thinking of something of reference you guys could look at because there's no internet and all that stuff. So how did you kind of compare and
Bob Izumi, right? Bob's show was the only one that was on. Oh no, Canadian Sports Fishing was on as well. They had just
Were
they?
They
Yeah?
had just started. They had just started. Yeah.
So all three of you guys basically within a 2-year period, all three had
bang,
started.
bang, bang.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Talk about flying by the seat of
yeah,
your
that
pants.
is
so
that
it
is
was,
seat of your pants
it
stuff
was
for
nuts.
sure.
Hey, I'm going to tell you something. Had Bob Izumi invited Andrew and I to be on his show, this was before us having a show, we probably wouldn't even have a show.
Well, the truth of the matter
Yeah,
is,
you know.
we talk about this all the time on the show here. The fact that back in those days we were very close, and we actually had plans of starting a retail business with them, if you recall, before Mr. Clark came along at Barclays. So, and I often think, if that had happened, would there have been a real fishing show? Would there have been a Fishing Canada show, or would it have been?
No, there wouldn't have been. There would have been something,
I mean,
a
some-
collab. You guys
no-
would have had to figure it out, and then yeah, by 2 or 3 years in, you'd have broke up for sure because you're all cement heads and hard heads, and you want to go your own way.
He is.
I could just see the shit show that would ensue upon that one.
Hey, let me ask you about talking about that. One of the things I miss about our partnership, and I want to talk to you about partnerships here coming up a little later, because a good friend of ours called me last night, very late, Pete Turner. And
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, and he was asking me some questions about partnerships. So we'll get into that in a bit. But one of the things I miss about the days when you and I were running this company is and I say this to some of my friends all the time. One of the things I miss most is having somebody there that you could bounce stupid stuff off of. Because we talked so much crap and bullshit ideas, and because there were two of us, we were able to talk each other out of it. But we had crazy stuff happening like every day. You remember, Reed?
Each other out of
like
it.
we'd always say, hey, why
awesome.
don't we do this? Why don't we do that? You know what I mean?
Well, and I know I think that's what got us ahead, but it also cost us a lot of things in time and money. But every year, we never talked about it, but every year we would create 2 or 3 new things to present along with our television package. And every year, the next year, we would create 3 or 4 more good things, and the year after. So every year we were creating these things. You know, one year we remember when cartoon characters were very popular at being your way to tell the world how green you were and how good and how, that kind of stuff. Well, we created and I don't remember what they're called, but remember we did a whole presentation
Animated
for all the television supporters, sponsors, one night in our boardroom about that cartoon thing. And, every year we created something new. Today, with internet, with basically Facebook, you don't get that. You just, you do what you do, and most things have turned to podcast, and so you don't even get outside anymore. It's weird. It's totally different. And you know what? Maybe deservedly so. It needs to be different because the generation is different, and the way we consume our entertainment is different.
Would you guys say that back in those days when you come up with these crazy ass ideas, was that more for, because it's a business, was it more for, hey, we can sell this to this company and we can do that to that company, or was it more for a creative thing, or was it both? Because I know you guys, I got a feeling it'd be both, but there'd be a
Well, yeah, some of both, I guess. But here, remember when we used to have a supper for all the supporters of the television show, the advertisers and sponsors, and one year we rented a hall. Okay, and we had, Pete, and I don't remember exactly how it went, but we shot some of the scene in our studio of you playing a guitar.
right? Yeah.
And then the next thing we did, we opened the curtains at the hall we were at on the stage, and there you were playing the guitar live. Do you remember that?
I don't remember me playing live because I don't know if I would have did it, but did I?
Yeah, just a couple of
Okay.
tunes, because it had to match the pre-recorded stuff that we had shot.
I remember that was a Christmas party, wasn't
on
it?
the big screen. No, that was for the
No?
unveiling of another
Magavision or
bizarre
something?
bonehead idea was Magavision.
That's right, too.
So,
And this part, just to let people know, this party was a party. This is just for an opening of that. They had all the sponsors, all the friends, all the families, a whole dinner, everything included, booze included, and all that. Like, this was the real deal, man. It was a biggie.
Big event, huge event.
It was cool.
We brought entertainment from Nova Scotia. Remember Bob?
Bob Lambert?
Lambert.
Lambert?
Bob Lambert.
Yeah, he was good too. He was really good.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He was the best. He was a musician that we had met in Halifax, I think, during a shoot. I think a shark shoot out of Halifax. And oh my God, this guy was the funniest.
Is he like Jimmy Flynn, right?
He was
the same idea as
yeah. You know what?
Comedian.
What's that, right?
He was a musician and comedian all in one time.
Right.
He was a sort of a cleaned up version of Jimmy Flynn.
Okay.
Oh, he wasn't that cleaned up.
No, not clean in that sense, but
No,
appearance.
no. I'm talking verbally. He wasn't that cleaned up.
Oh no, not at all. The Altar Boys. What was that
Yeah.
song?
The Altar Boys I used to know. I loved before. Shit, I forgot all about that guy.
Funny story.
You know what? If there's anybody that's woke listening to your program, they're listening to the wrong program.
Funny true story about Bob Lambert. I don't even know whether you know this or not. I think I've shared this with you or not. Was it Bob Lambert? Yeah, It had to be Bob Lambert. How he scammed my Gibson guitar from me.
Yeah, I did hear. You did tell me that show, that story.
It was Bob Lambert. Yeah.
Yeah.
$200. 1968. J whatever.
Oh my God.
Anyways.
Oh my God.
We regress. Let's try again. So Magavision was just one of those wonderful ideas that we had, and for folks listening, basically it was pre-internet days, and Reno and I had already had some success on television, and we heard about this thing, called the internet, that it was going to kind of grab hold and stay. So we thought, well, you know what? Let's do something a little bit out of the ordinary that kind of takes the internet vibe, but gives us the opportunity to do television like we know how to do it. And it was using VHS tape. So we had kind of a live action presentation of our show on VHS.
Yeah, it was a magazine basically put on video.
On video.
Well, the reason that we even came up with that concept, we were looking for an easier way. We also published a magazine.
Right.
Right.
So
what was it called? What was that called?
Fishing
Canada News.
Fishing Canada News.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And so we were looking for, because you know what? No wonder that business is not very popular. I mean, there's people making magazine, and there are major companies that are doing it, making money and having a good time. But at our level, even though we had a bunch of people that we were trying to advertise and stuff, it just wasn't for us. It wasn't our main business. So sometimes you have no right or expectations to do something that's outside of your realm. And that was clearly the case here.
We were fearless, right? The biggest difference between then and now is the fact we were fearless or dumb, one or the other, but nothing really phased us.
Yeah, you guys went.
You look at it and say, okay, well, that's going to cost us a ton of money. Yeah, okay, all right, let's do it. Like we had no, you know what I mean? Yeah, okay,
Well,
all right.
here's a comment. So we had just come off one of our, we'd probably about 6 or 7 publications or episode, whatever you call it. Issues, yeah. So we were about 6 or 7 issues in, and of course, we got wind that the Izumis had started a magazine as well, and then we also happened to be on and Pete, I think you were there too. The Mercury Marine took all their television show hosts to Florida as a reward for a contest that the consumer was involved in. Okay. So here we are at Roland Martin's place in Florida. Yeah. Everybody that has a television show in North America that's involved with Mercury is there. There was about 20 of us. It was wonderful. Yeah. But they picked us up with a minibus from the
that's right
from the flight.
Yeah.
And so there's Bob and Wayne get on, and I said, "Now, why did you guys start a magazine?" Why? And I'm shaking my head. Why didn't you just call me and you would have saved a whole bunch of dollars? Well, he says, we figured if you guys could lose money, so could we.
I think their exact words were, if the Violas can lose money, so can the Izumis. I think was the actual quote.
That is awesome.
And that's what I mean, fearless, right? We were just, your favorite saying back then was throw enough shit against the wall, some of it'll stick. And boy, did we throw it out there with underwater cameras. We got into narrators, which at the time was unheard of, hiring a third voice on the show. We got into animation, as Reno mentioned, which was unheard of. We got into all this wacky stuff and spent a ton of money doing it just because we could.
And when we chose our animator, Don Allman, he was a local DJ
narrator
station. Good guy, really good guy. But when we talked about it, we wanted our narrator to have the voice of God. Yeah. So that when he would say Reno or Angelo and Pete, he would be like God saying those names.
It's true. That was the thinking.
The problem is we forgot. My driving habits didn't mix with Don. We didn't have a studio back then. So when Don had to do his voiceover, we had to take him to our Toronto studio. And of course, it means driving from Oshawa to Toronto in that traffic the way I like to drive. And by the time he got to our studio in Toronto to do his voiceover, his octaves have gone up about 6 or 7. So instead of sounding like, "Hi, I'm Don Allman," it was, "Hi, I'm Don Allman."
He'd say that goddamn Reno is what he'd say to you.
Stressed him out.
Probably pissed him right off.
Who was unfortunately, Don passed away several years into our relationship
Yeah.
with him.
We
replaced him with
a Daly, Mark
Mark
Daly.
Daly. Do you remember
Was another
Mark
guy.
Daly's
Yeah.
voice?
He had
was
a great voice.
He was at the time, was it City TV? Yeah. He
was
was
on
the
one of the-
voice.
yeah, one of the news,
He was the
yeah.
voice of City TV. And we said, when Don passed away, in keeping with what Reno's philosophy is, like normal people, normal, ordinary folks would have said, "Oh, well, we have to replace, our voice on the show. Let's see who we've got here locally that we can bring into the studio." No, we said, "All right, who's the best voice in the business right now? Who is the hottest, the greatest voice in the business?" Well, there's that guy who's the voice for City TV. He does like the news. He does he's the big guy. All right, let's go get him. So we got him. And Mark
Yeah,
Daly
he
did
had
it.
a great,
We had him.
Oh
voice.
my God, he was great, eh? He had a
And who was the other guy? Oh, I'll think of it. Keep talking. There was another guy that we brought in after that, even.
Well, and that's what I never understood. And I never told, hey, folks, Ange and I never really communicated properly or a lot or
at all.
You know what it's like? It's like what's his name? Justin Trudeau doesn't talk to his
What's his
cabinet
name?
ministers. Okay? They don't talk. That's why this bullshit's going on in Canada right now. They don't talk. Well, it was much like the Fish in Canada show between Ange and I.
Good point.
Okay, and so one day we know that Mark Daly's gone, or I think he was going. Or
No,
gone.
he got ill as well. He got he got cancer. If
Yes,
I'm not
but I
mistaken,
did
and
that.
passed away.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You were taking care of that. Next thing we know, we got a guy named John, and John was another disc jockey or disc on-air personality at CFRA, CFRB, whatever it was down in Toronto, and then we got him. Do you remember that?
No, who's that?
No, I don't remember that. Oh.
Who was
He was also a host. I think his first name. So my question to you today is, why did you choose him?
I remember the other one, Brian Belfry.
Oh,
Yeah, we had
Brian Belfry.
We had Brian Belfry as well.
That was a whole other story. But go ahead,
Sorry.
go ahead, Reno.
You know what? He was fairly big. He was a big personality on. Is it CFRA in Toronto or CFRB?
CFRB.
Right. And so he was
Yes, now I remember him.
news guy.
Huge. He was massive.
I know, but why did you hire me? His voice wasn't that good.
No, but he was such a big personality. He was the guy in the metropolitan Toronto area. His voice.
Okay,
was,
something I gotta say to you, because I do occasionally when I get time, I watch your feed.
well, that's
Okay.
awful nice of you, Reno. We appreciate that.
Not often. I don't think I would even count on your meter. But
You haven't subscribed yet, have you? I don't think.
Because you're busy. Because you're busy, and we understand that. But when you're not busy, you obviously
If
tune
you
in.
subscribe to some of these things, you can get 100. You can get 10 bonus points on our draws too. If you're probably eligible for our draws now too. So
that's really confusing. I mean, half of your audience is 65-year-old plus. You guys are throwing bonus points. Subscribe. Do this. Do
That's
that.
okay. If the old guys-
don't go there.
if the old guys don't want a live scope package, we'll let the young guys take it.
They
That's
don't even
fine.
know what live scope. They're lucky to be alive, for God's sake.
All right. I like this. I like where this is going.
That's all
Anyway,
I-
Give us your unbiased
Excuse me.
opinion
Excuse me.
of what
what?
we're doing now. Seriously, what do you think of the product that we're putting out? Seriously,
this podcast here.
Okay,
Whether it's a podcast, whether it's a
production-wise, it's excellent. So I'm not even going to go there because you just, what we learned over the last 40 years, it's just carrying forward, and it's pretty slick.
Yep.
As far as what you do. As far as being behind the curve, sure. You know what? You're only 25 years behind the curve. Because with you, everything in life was, it's just a fad. Oh, yeah. That internet, that's just a fad now. We can't do that. So had we started this shit in the right time, okay, Joe Rogan would have had to watch out who's in front of him, not who's behind him.
That's you make a great point, buddy. I mean, and those are the things
Just
that I
a
miss
fad.
from our relationship. Was as whacked out as other people might have thought we were, what was really incredible was that together, we always had, as Reno likes to say, there was always something that stuck to the wall. You know, we threw so much stuff at it. There was always something at the end of the day that stuck, and we go, okay, maybe that's going to work.
Let's talk something that's near and dear to my heart. I don't even remember how many years ago, but about 6 or 7 years ago, I started a online radio.
That's right.
Well, radio network called WRVO, which is Worldwide Reno Viola Outdoors, is what WRVO is. But I was also scamming because there's a huge radio station in Buffalo called WRVO Radio, so I didn't want to sound like I was pioneering. But anyway, so I had 35 producers. I had 35 different people. Some of them paying, some of them got paid, some of them we bartered out. So I treated ours as a real network and actually had real programming, live programming plus tape programming, exactly what you guys are finally doing as of last year. So I did that 8 or 9 years ago.
Look at you. Eh? How'd that work out for you?
No.
How'd that work out for you? How did it work out? How did it work out for you? That's all I want to know.
God created 2 of these and 1 of these for you, so you do twice as much listening as talking. Okay?
That's right. That's right.
So had you even 7, 8 years ago caught on and said, you know what, that might be just a touch good idea. Let me go get started. You would have made up 3 or 4 years and you would have been further ahead than you are now. Nothing wrong with where you are now.
Why, thank you.
Sometimes you got to get these ideas way, way ahead of time and go with that. So next time somebody walks in and says the internet is a thing we ought to be on, don't say it's just a passing fad.
The reason Reno's saying that, because one of the things I busted,
and it's true.
I busted
that story
his
that
balls.
he said, by the way, before you to alert people listening, that was a daily basis at this office. Reno busting Angela's balls about something like that, and Nan's taking it and then giving something back. But that was daily when they were together.
And that's what with the magic, right?
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
the
for
magic
sure.
that
sure.
it was stressful. It was stressful. There's no question about it. The stress levels back then were like through the roof, but there were other circumstances that caused most of the stress, which we don't have today. But it was stressful, man. It was, you know why? I think people kind of expected that from us. The industry, if we can just switch gears here a little bit, the industry kind of expected that from the Violas. It wasn't good enough for us to go back the following year with the same crap that everybody else had and that we were selling, right? If we didn't go back, first of all, we had to do the dog and pony show. Everybody expected us to, stand on one hand and spit nickels out our butts and, blow fire and have ponies and unicorns running around the set. If we didn't do that, then they felt that they were getting shortchanged, which was our fault because we got the industry used to the fact that this is the big show, man.
Yeah.
This is big
Yeah, you
time.
guys did do that.
And,
You went all in.
And whereas everybody else was coming in behind us, they didn't have to do that. They weren't expected to put on the big show, but
Yeah.
we were.
Well, they had $150 cameras. We had $15,000 and $20,000 cameras.
Right.
True.
Right.
Another true point. Here's a story. I'll break away from the Fishing Canada and talk about the brothers Viola here when they owned Barclays. And I have a story from an ex-employee, an old employee when the store was going, I guess you call it. And one day, Reno walked in and one of his tyrants and gonna get some shit done, told this employee, okay, this is all priced wrong with the stuff on the shelf, on the Barclays shelf. Boom, change them all. The person changed all the price tags, went out in the store, changed all these items with the price tags in there. 2 hours later, Angelo walks into the store. Reno was always a little earlier than Angelo, pretty much every day. Angelo walked in and said, who the fuck priced these things like this? Change that shit back to where it was. And they changed it all back that same day. So that's what these 2 guys were like a lot of the times.
There was a lot of that.
Oh, my God. That story killed me when I heard it. I laughed.
One of the areas where we got in trouble as partners was when the other guy would encroach the other guy's territory.
Right.
Okay,
Because you guys had said areas.
I only say that because of the story that you just brought up, right? Whenever you stayed in your own lane, whenever I stayed in my own lane, we were okay. It wasn't productive. It wasn't outstanding. It wasn't a home run. But when we stayed in our own lanes, things were kind of okay. But every once in a while, one of us would venture off into the other guy's lane, and I think that's when usually those big stories that we all recall.
Many of those stories, I'm sure.
But fortunately for us, I think the yin and yang kind of approach to life and business stood us well. For the most part, we coexisted. I mean, I say coexist, I don't mean that, but when you get two A-type personalities like this, and you push them into living out of an igloo, it's going to be shit, right? You know it. I don't care what situation you want to apply that to. It's going to be not a good start. And that's basically what we were, because we were both apex predators. I mean, let's be honest. And the fact that we survived. So we were together 20 years, right? Or am I wrong?
Probably longer.
No, as far as the Fishing Canada show, I believe you were there the first 20 years.
No, I think 23, 24 years.
23, 24 years. So that on its own is a long time. We had Barclays for about the same length of time. So that's 20 to 25 years in a relationship like that. I think most people would look at it and say, oh my God, you guys are.
But that was just your business.
Well, and that's
because you guys before. I was going to say before that you guys worked together.
We'd always been together.
Were selling stuff together.
We were together from the days he was shooting at me with a pellet gun and
But I mean, in business,
honest,
you know what I mean. Like,
be honest, for Christ's sakes, I gave you a 10-second head start.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. You're right.
Run. By the way, Reno, this is one you'll remember a bit. Ange had to almost pull a beaverton up at Sault Ste. Marie there about 2 weeks ago. Remember the beaverton? You don't remember it? He remembers it.
Good God.
We'll leave that one out. There's many of these little code words that the boys had that in their younger days. That there's some good stories that you could say off camera, we had a good time.
Now, on the other hand, all this bullshit with the business side, it was a business. I mean, there was money coming in, money going out. Yeah. Not enough coming in and too much going out, but that's a different point. But some of the happiest days of my life, and you know what? I'm 73 years old now. So some of the happiest days of my life were being on the road.
Oh my God!
Okay. Now, on the road is a whole different category.
It's
totally different category.
We talk about. I don't think there's a day that goes by that at some point we don't throw back to one of those road trips and say, "Hey, do you remember when?" Boy, were we ever lucky. Were we ever lucky? And I mean that in its truest sense. We were so fortunate. Forget the fact that we were running businesses. Forget the fact that we were, pioneering new technology. Forget all that. For us at our young ages, and you're included in this, Pete, to experience the type of camaraderie and the travel adventures that we've had, the three of us have had.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
think about it.
They were good, and to the audience that doesn't know Reno or does know Reno and just remembers them, on those trips, he was our entertainment package. He was the funniest son of a bitch. Like if there was a bad moment happening, he's the bear in that woods too. But I'll tell you what, other than that, we got to bring the morale up on everybody. My God, this guy made us laugh so much out in the field. Oh, his jokes, his just the way his demeanor, his everything. Around the pool table at night, we really had so much fun.
You know what? Yeah, the pool table at night.
You remember that story?
Yeah, how could I ever forget? I don't think I ever will. But there was a lot of good times on the road because we got away from the business portion.
Right.
See, the business of Fishing Canada is good. The premise is you go do a television show, get lots of people to watch it, and entertain them and give them information. That's still the same premise, and it works. It's great. However, the business of all that really weighed down because while you were trying to get, $3.50 as for a commercial or whatever, whatever we're charged at the time from somebody, and they're saying no. So that weighed heavily on your head. Now you got to go out and do a show, and you got to be happy and smile at catching a walleye that long, and be happy and try and entertain the people of the world, and then go back to the sales aspect. So the two don't necessarily mix, but we got lucky that we did get them to mix. And when our partnership started to go south was when Angelo didn't want to stay in his lane. Okay, I was never part of the production, and that's why I had fun on the TV at the front when we did the road trip. But with Ange, he decided the sales weren't enough. There was always a solution with Ange. Throw more sales. Let's get another $1 million in the house, and all of our troubles will go away. And you know what? That is an answer. But when I used to do my sales calls, I used to be the clown in front of these people, and these people appreciated what they saw. They had fun with us, and it was a personality relationship that I was trying to build with them.
It was an entertainment package. That's what I said earlier on, right? We had to go in and do the dog and pony show.
Right, but when you came in, all of a sudden everything got serious. Oh, well, we're not just a show. We're the production guy.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, see, I was sitting back and I said,
no.
Listen, I invited him on the show.
I'm telling you the way it is.
I have to give some stories here now, too, and let the audience decide who the clown really was. So I'm in a meeting with my at the time, national sales manager and director of sales and marketing, too, by the way. He had marketing covered too. And we're in a client's office that had called us to the office. He wanted to have a meeting. It wasn't our normal sales meeting, but...
That's called ABC, by the way. ABC.
What's that?
Explain that at the end of your story. ABC.
Okay. I don't know what that is, but anyways, you're ruining my... I'm on a roll here. Just give me a second. So this client calls us in and sits us in front of him, and he says, "Boys, I got some bad news." Now, we had known this client since the beginning, from birth of our company. He was the original sponsor partner. You know who this is. I
got a good feeling.
Let the audience in on it in a minute. And he says, "Boys," he said, "I got some bad news, man. I don't even know where to start. It's devastating, but I have to. So here's the deal: the brand that you've been representing of mine, the corporation has decided to close it down." So I'm thinking, holy shit, we're dead. Reno, on the other hand, says, "Oh, that's fine. That's good. Anyways, listen, we got this new idea. We're going to actually change the look of your ads because we're going to do somersaults and flip and the guy's saying, Reno, there is no more brand." Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. And then what we're going to do, we got this. And he's going on to the point where I had to say, Reno, wake up. What he's saying is that there is no brand. And this is about 20 minutes into the meeting. I looked in his eyes and I realized that's the first time in 20 minutes where he actually heard anything. He actually heard the client and me telling him what the reality was. Because in Reno's world, it was all like a carnival, basically.
It was
right?
tenacity, right, Reno? Tenacity.
Tenacity, absolutely. I'm not saying it in a negative way. This was...
No, I know you're not.
Okay.
I'm not taking it negative.
And for the audience out there who's wondering, what the hell happened? Well, the guy's name is Bob Patterson. He's still with us. He's still alive. He was the original marketing director for Mercury Marine, who at the time owned Mercury Outboard Motors and Mariner Motors. And we were Mariner Motor sponsored, and everybody else was Mercury Marine sponsored. So we were the only guys waving the flag for this renegade. Yeah, I guess you could say that, but Mariner was sort of the renegade cousin of the Black Merc because it was gray and it had all kinds of funky stuff. And all kinds of, and we represented that brand. Well, they shut it down. And Reno couldn't get around the fact that he couldn't finish his pitch.
Anyway, long story short, up until Bob retired, you still have Mercury Marine.
Oh,
today.
absolutely. No,
Absolutely.
As it turned out, but we did take a 1-year hiatus, right?
Well, that's okay. Sometimes you have to do that. But the whole point is ABC. I'm in sales. I've got a bunch of hungry mouths back at the office to feed.
Right.
Okay. And if I had ordered the funeral, they would have came and picked me right up at the desk right there and taken me out the box, because if we're going to die, you might as well die right there. So I wasn't going to die. I'm not ever going to die. I'm still number one. I always will be number one.
You're the best.
It will always be there. So ABC always be closing. I had another opportunity there.
Always be
Angelo.
closing. That's
Okay.
it. No, let me finish that story. By the way, so we get in, we finally get over this and the shock, and we get into our vehicle, and we pull out of the Mercury parking lot, and I'm like devastated. I still can't talk. I'm in shock. And Reno looks at me. He said, "F it. I'm going to call Yamaha." What do you mean you're going to call? Yeah. He got on the phone right then and there and put together a deal for our company with Yamaha. Like, so to your credit, like you, like,
But that's what I'm saying to you. Had you not been there that morning, I probably would have been Mercury today, there at that time. We would have gone from Mariner to Mercury.
no, he told you that was not a possibility, remember?
Well, you know what? The possibility would be to squeeze us in there somehow, and we would have been. Anyway, at that time,
He's freaking right. You can't say no, it wouldn't have happened.
don't let me be. I'm not going to say no. Let them say no to you. And you know what? Well, you know what? I love Mercury. You know, I really do love Mercury.
Of course.
But we learned a lot by going away from them for that 1 year.
Yeah, boy.
And we also, when we had to leave Yamaha, where do we go running back? We were running back to Mercury, and Mercury took us, so they would have taken us that day.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, I just bring it up because of the tenacity and in the way you approach things, and I miss those, because and not just from this company, not just from our brand. I think it's missed in general. The tenacity that he worked with was, well, you experienced it.
Oh, yeah.
Was
Yeah.
Hey, listen, our brand would not be the brand that it is today if it wasn't for the fact that this guy just did not know the meaning of no.
No, yeah, exactly.
And the Ron Devion story with CBC National. I mean, what a great story that is, because had that been me or you, we would have never got that gig, right? But
see, the reality, guys, is I really did learn early on. Remember how we used to throw the number, the fishing industry in Canada is an $8.8 billion industry. Remember that number? Remember that phrase? Okay, so pretty big number, $8.8 billion.
absolutely.
The friggin' reality is that if you really look at it, the real number that's going directly towards fishing products, and that kind of stuff it's not even it's a few $1 million, but it's not anywhere near the $8.8 billion. Because in that $8.8 billion, look at that. Let me shut that off for a second.
What's going on?
So the point is that I knew that you don't have unlimited numbers to call. You just you got the 8 or 10 guys that you know, and that's it. So you better make those guys count. Yeah. You just can't move on.
You know what the lucky thing was for you, though? And I know you won't.
We were the first. That's when the lucky thing. We were the first.
No,
that's the only lucky thing.
No. What was lucky is, and I consider myself lucky as well in this same sense, is that because we were such opposites, and because we were willing to go to the wall in our respective lanes, it complemented the other person enough that because at the end of the day, all of the victories, all of the successes were a precursor to a lot of failures, a lot of no's. You said that a few minutes ago about the number of no's that you have to take. But because you had the other guy there, that was going. So when you were flat, I was afloat. When I was flat, you were afloat, and somehow that combination worked out incredibly well. To this, now I understand it a little better today than I did back then, because back then it was hell. Living with this guy on a day-to-day basis on an equal partnership is tough. It's tough.
Yeah, working for both you two guys on a day-to-day basis was tough too.
As he will say about me as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Very, very hard. But
There's the guy sitting next to you who could actually answer truthfully that question. Not that question, sorry.
What
that
I just
scenario.
said?
Who's harder, Pete? Me or him?
Who's harder to deal with?
Yeah.
You know what? I'll be honest with you guys and the audience. It is very close to a split because you both were good to work for and you're both arseholes to work for. So I have to say, it was like an equal amount. There's like all of a sudden, Jesus, God, Ange is on a roll. He's awesome today. And then all of a sudden tomorrow, where the hell did yesterday's guy go? And then Reno was running through there and he's pissed off everybody. And then all of a sudden Reno was the funniest guy out in the shoot. It was a very volatile, mixed relationship for all your employees, I'm sure. I mean, I've been there as long as anybody, or when you guys were together.
So what were you hoping to get from that question, by the way?
No.
I'm curious. I'm just curious.
Who was the toughest to work for?
The toughest, again, it was, I honestly.
That's a pretty broad question, though.
Yeah, you have to look at it. You have to look at it.
Pretty broad question. How many ideas did you bring to Angelo that went forward, and how many ideas did you bring to me that went forward? I can tell you right now, I wasn't the idea guy.
Right.
Ever. So by you bringing the thing, it didn't matter. So the only thing about arsehole, it might have been the way I treated people. That treating people was all based on making payroll that particular week.
Oh, absolutely. I get it.
You know who we need? Who we need in this conversation is the third party during all of this that played a very prominent role in keeping both of us somehow in check, or at least, between the lines, and that is Monique, who was the third member of this.
She'd call you both assholes too, though. I'll guarantee you. I'm going to guarantee you. She would.
In a heartbeat. Are you kidding me?
It is a tough one because there's such a duality there. There's such a difference in both guys, and they're Clint Eastwood, good, bad, and ugly in both of you, man. I mean, that's in everybody too. But you guys were you were strong good, you were strong bad, and strong ugly. All three of them, each guy. You know what I mean? So
I will admit that to be about as accurate as you're going to get.
Yeah. So
and I think that goes for anybody who is not afraid to make a commitment, who is not afraid to speak out, who is not afraid to be themselves, who believes in themselves. I think anybody that has got the strong personalities that we're talking about here, you're going to piss people off. Of course you're going to piss people off. There's no doubt in my mind that you're going to piss people off.
If you haven't pissed somebody off, you haven't done enough.
Exactly.
There you go.
They don't know who you are. They don't know what you're capable of. They don't know any of that stuff.
So,
if they call you a nice guy, they're probably wrong.
Would it disturb you to know that as recently as a week ago, I was speaking to somebody who I had a bone to pick with, by the way. And I'm not going to mention names because there's really no need for this, but I just want to point this out, how that comment that you just made, how true it is. Because you haven't been involved in this company for almost 2 decades. So I'm having a conversation with this individual, and I'm saying, well, what the like, are you serious? Like, what's going? He says, well, your brother, he was pretty nasty, and he did that and this and that. So based on that, that's the way it is. I said, fuck.
Is that still going on?
But I wanted to throw that out there because that's still going on to this day. This man was such a pillar.
Okay, but I want you to go on with your story, but I want you to now, as you're talking, I want you to think of something.
But can I finish my story?
Well, no, because it makes you're going to finish your story, but I want you to also in your head as you're saying the story.
Yeah.
Put a different slant in here. Groundhog Day, keep coming back and back. Okay. Even to this day.
Yes.
They don't know who Reno or Angelo is. And when you're looking in front of Reno, sometimes you call him Angelo, and vice versa. So,
So what? See, I was
So-
trying to stick
so-
up for you,
so-
but what you're saying
no,
is that
no. You know
person
what? I can make my own enemies and I can make my own friends. That's not the problem. I want you to think of the story from somebody else. It's always easy to say something about not the guy standing in front of you. It's always easier to talk about something else. For example, I will give you names. I won't give you names, but I'll give you the example. When Barclays used to do, I'm going to let you finish your story in a second. But when Barclays used to
I'd forgotten exactly what he was like. Eh? You just brought it all back to me, buddy.
Okay, which is good. You probably take a lesson from this, okay? We're like, you know that the Champagne, the minister for what's his name, Justin, the Trudeau?
Yes, yes.
The Champagne guy, the guy who sits in the front row. We won't be taking any lesson from the Conservative Party across the aisle. You know, what is that?
That guy.
Lesson in life and get a country that's going to be successful. Anyway, one of those representatives, when we used to take out almost everything fishing with these giant yard sales in Barclay. Yeah. Okay. By the way, we never.
God, I miss those. I miss those yard sales.
They were good.
So anyway,
They were good.
okay, away with all the fishing shit. Why was it away with all the fishing shit? Because it was all 30 cents, 50 cents, $1, $1.50, $1.80. Why have a $1.80 item when you can sell a $180 item by removing it and selling just as many? So anyways, these fishing reps used to try and give us a hand, which, you know what? It was appreciated in most cases. But one of them was there just to party. And so I remember Angelo. I remember this distinctly. You said to the guy, his name, I don't know, never mind his name, but let's say Bob. Hey, Bob, if you're not going to act properly, if you're not going to help out, go home. I don't want you here. Okay? And so the guy left. He almost was crying because he was woke back then too, as he is today. And he left. Well, years later, I'm talking to him, and he says, "Well, you threw me out." What do you mean I threw you out? Tell me what? And he described the incident that I had watched Angelo throw him out, and he thought I was Angelo. Anyways. But basically, a lot of our problem, you and I, is that the recognition factor before, or after, or during, and yeah, we're both pricks. I'll take the crown for that because I want to be. Okay, but a lot of them is confusion on their part because they're so intimidated. They don't like what's happening to them, so it doesn't matter who it came from. But it's easier to blame Reno than anybody else.
Why is that, Reno?
He's a bigger prick. Right? He just admitted to it. He's a bigger prick. It's easy. You gotta hit the biggest prick.
Because I'm not political at all. I'm political.
No, you're not political.
I'm not politically correct. How's that?
There you go.
The point I wanted to make was, now that I don't have no idea where you were taking that, but that's fine. That's cool. So the point I was trying to make, and what I said to this individual was, if in fact what you're saying is true, if in fact your motivation to zig instead of zag is true, then the only thing I can say is that he was obviously an awful big character, an awful big personality for you to tell me that 2 decades later, it's still affecting the way you run your company. That was my answer to him. I said, if it's true, then think about it. He was so powerful then that today, 20 years later, he's still running your company. He's still influencing your decisions.
To figure out who this is.
And that's who you are. And that's a big positive, buddy. That's not a negative.
I never took it as
because
negative.
you know, most people go through life, they never get that buzz of knowing that I'm the guy.
You're the man.
I'm the man. We called you Buwana, for Christ's sake. Why do you think we called you Buwana? Because you are the Buwana. That's why.
Hey,
it's very simple.
Reno, it's funny that you're saying your little story that you said. I didn't even know what Anne's saying, but even to this day, we go to events and he gets called Reno at least once or twice. Every time. Like at the Sportsman Show last year, I remember it distinctly. The guy said, "Hey, Pete, hey, Reno," and he's shaking his hand. I'm thinking, "Oh my God!" And a lot of the times, Anne doesn't even, he doesn't even correct them. He just says, "Hey, how you doing, Bill?" You know, like that. But it still happens to this day a lot. So just to let you know.
That always bothered me, by the way. Always.
What?
It did bother you?
Always bothered me. The other thing
Calling
is,
you Angelo?
yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
Why?
Well, not necessarily calling me Angelo, but mixing us up.
Why?
Well, because it just, I mean, we missed. There was a little, the day when they taught us brand identification, okay, we didn't attend. We didn't get the diploma. So we can't carry it forward.
I have to disagree with you 100%. Do you realize that nobody else? Do you realize nobody else has been able to do what we did in terms of branding?
No.
Name me.
I totally
A
understand.
fishing show right now, quick, boom. Name me 10 fishing shows, boom, boom. You can't. You know why? Because that's poor branding. The one thing that you and I did, we put ourselves second. We put our brand first in everything that we did. It was always the Fishing Canada show. It was always Outdoor Journal. It was not Reno, Angelo, or Pete. We were secondary to that. We did a great job of branding. I don't know where you're going with that.
No, I'm
Such
talking-
a
He meant
strong job.
self-branding. He meant self-branding.
We never intended to. So,
Yeah.
Such a strong job of branding that people could confuse me for you. That's real strong branding. I could understand it, anybody else, but me for you, whoa. Like
I never said that. I think we created an animal.
Yeah.
That animal could be friendly and it could be mean. It could be whatever the hell we had to do to feed our giant family back at the warehouse. Okay, we had to do that, and so we created something that was strong, including tireless creation of new products that we spit out new products like
Oh my God.
Megavision being one of them.
Most of them never saw the day of light. That's the shame of it, right?
Tell you what, one thing you boys did well with the collaboration of others is the Fishing Canada tune, the song.
Yeah.
That's a song that's still if I hear it, well, I heard it Nick's little Christmas card. I heard it today, and it's still in my head right now. You know what I mean? So that one is a timeless piece of work too.
Just look over to your right and say, "You're an asshole."
You're an asshole.
And the reason is,
I'm looking at for those that are not watching. I'm looking at Angelo, saying he's an asshole.
he tried to change that into any other thing other than the Fishing Canada show.
What said ye? What are you saying here? I've never heard this.
He went through a period in life where remember FNC?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he tried to change the song for that, which obviously for that kind of show you would need a different thing. But he was bound and determined he was going to change the Fishing Canada tune. There is no changing the Fishing Canada tune. It is what it is.
True. I do remember a point when we went to that studio there, that Mike or whatever, the guy for Killer Dwarfs, he was doing guitar riffs for us and all that stuff. So there was definitely some talks about changing it or whatever.
We did change it. We changed it, I think, 4 times. It's had 4 iterations of the Fishing Canada tune are playing now out there. 4 totally separate, different, distinct tunes. But I don't understand why you would throw that out there as a negative.
Because we already had a winner.
Absolutely.
It was a winner. It was a winner.
It's like Mariah Carey's Christmas thing that you're going to hear all the time. We just kept hearing da, 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 da. I hate that song, but it's made her more money than
Anyway, you know what?
Gates.
We had a good brand. The brand's still good. You guys are doing a great job of doing what you're doing. It is a different era. It is a different time. And that's also one of the reasons we're talking like this, because it is different times. People had no idea what we did. Yes, we did a television show. You guys still do a television show, and it's a good show. Great product, the way it's presented, the way it's shot, everything is good about it. There's nothing bad about it. There's nothing. I don't think there's anybody that can say anything bad about the Fishing Canada show. Well, there was one guy that did say something, but anyway.
There's a bunch of bullshit.
Thank you. I've been waiting for that.
And there was one guy I was doing. This is early on in our years when we were with TBC. There must have been 3-4 years into it. We were at TBC. Got the big monitor running. We're doing the spring fishing show when it used to be at the Pickering, owned by good people, different people than what they own it now. So the thing was playing the CBC show there, and some guy walked by And he said, yeah, typical CBC show. No editing. That's all he said. And it's just as if it was garbage. The CBC does no editing. And that's, that's absolute crap. So, you're going to get people who don't like it, but for the majority of part, we did a good job.
Why
So we won.
I think, yeah.
I was going to say something nasty, but I said no. See, that's the difference between me today and me 25 years ago. See, 25 years ago, I wouldn't have said no to myself, but I just caught myself there from I said no, absolutely not.
Tell me.
No.
As Ruby Polsky used to say, tell me.
Remember Ruby, eh? He's still, by the way, he's still alive.
Is he really?
Yeah.
And now his son George is running the show.
He always ran it though. George always ran it.
Oh, I don't know. About
Ruby
that.
was a sales guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he was in that RV of his. He used to run across the country in his RV. Let's go very quickly, Reno. Let's take, again, a step back into your days of shooting. Is there any good memories? I know there's lots of good memories, but anything special on the road, trips, fish you caught, anything like that?
Highlights.
Highlights. Something that you can let the audience in on that they might not know or whatever.
For Fishing Canada, I was the first one into the Northwest Territories.
Right.
And so, the big giant lake trout to me always stuck.
Yeah.
And we got fortunate, when we went on that Norweta trip. Remember that?
Great.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. When was that? What trip was when the Laker hooked you in the sweater? You're hook it, I don't care. Do you remember that?
That's it. That's the one.
That's the
Norweta.
one? Okay.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
That was the
Norweta.
Norweta trip, was it? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the Norweta.
Yeah.
Along the cliff. And most people see that's the other thing too. So is it a highlight? Well, you expect the Northwest Territories to be flat, and where not flat is water, and that's basically
tundra, etc. Yeah.
Right, and lots of fish in that water, which always delivers. There's no question. Pike, lake trout, whatever it is you want to catch, you're going to catch them there. But you don't expect mountains or giant cliffs there, right in the water, coming out of the water, and you fish
Great Slave.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
The other thing, the big highlight, the very first time that I went, the very first time I went for grayling specifically to the Northwest Territories, we were camping overnight in tents so we could be right where the action is. And of course, there's supper, and the cook has to cook a supper. And then after supper, the middle of the Northwest Territories, the middle of Great Slave Lake, on a small island, there's a picnic table in our tents. And out comes the electric organ, and the guy starts playing the Love Boat.
Wow.
Da, 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 da. It was the best.
No way.
Obviously,
camping.
neither one of us
No,
were on that
I don't
trip.
remember that one at all. You
you
didn't film
weren't
it?
there.
Obviously, you didn't film it. Wow.
That's hilarious. Well, back then, we wouldn't have filmed it. That was the problem,
it was,
right?
you shut the cameras down and it's trout time. Or
For the
eat
audience
time.
that's listening to this, the unfortunate part is that up until I'd say 10 years ago, those moments that Reno's talking about now, we never captured. In fact, we would tell the camera people, shut the cameras off when this stuff happened, because it wasn't something that you just you did, right? Mm-hmm. Can you imagine had we had the foresight of actually documenting this stuff that happened and filming the stuff that happened?
It'd be the best.
Oh my God.
The other thing is too, being woke or being politically correct and all that other, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes I lay in bed at night thinking about me, and I cringe.
Oh, I would too, buddy. Trust me. The odd time that's happened to me, I call it a nightmare, and I wake up in a cold sweat. So I can relate to that.
You guys will remember this. I won't use any names, but again, way north, we had just flown in, and they actually had a red carpet for us coming off the 737 on the dirt runway.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Keep going.
And there was the band was playing that we had arrived. It was gorgeous, and the Indian elders were there. And
Indigenous people, indigenous
Indigenous
community.
Native.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
I love it.
And so there's the guy that I've been talking to that arranged all this. Very high government official.
Yeah.
I presume at a federal level.
Okay.
And I probably have known him an hour on the phone, and 3 minutes into this red carpet walk that we did,
Okay.
and all of a sudden, a fleet, whatever you call them, a bunch of birds came flying over
A
us.
flock, Reno. It's called a flock.
A flock
that's
of
it.
birds came flying over us, and I leaned over in the guy's ear, and I told him the bird story.
Oh. How'd that go over?
Well, the guy, he didn't know whether he should or wind his watch. He didn't. And so, but when I cringe at night, I goes through my head is, imagine what he must have thought of me. He must have thought I was the biggest asshole in the world.
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or he thought I was hitting on him. He thought you know.
Oh my God! You see that's one way of looking at it. But what if the guy would have just turned around and started laughing his ass off? Then you made a friend forever, right? That's what you were trying to do, right?
Which
there.
Well, I think we did make it forever, by the way. I think we did.
Yeah,
Okay.
which was normal.
Yeah.
That it's funny, because we've been blessed with working with so many wonderful people in this industry through the years that were decision makers, right? They were the top
the guys.
dog.
Yeah.
And we would, this is the God's honest truth. After a meeting, we would grade them, all these especially new customers. And back then we had the test for us was if they drink and they smoke, they're good people and we're going to work with them. If they didn't drink and smoke, he said, oh, that deal's not going to happen. That's not going through. Remember?
God.
The only thing we didn't do is the Trump.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
That's funny.
But it's true because we were like-minded.
Yeah.
What we were saying is that,
Yeah.
we
need to
were
be
like-minded,
like-minded,
right?
right. Yeah.
And because of all of these crazy antics that we're talking about now, if they weren't in tune with that, we would scare them away, right? They would be gone.
Right.
And so, and we've had some good ones. I mentioned one earlier on, Bob Patterson from Merck. I mean,
He was excellent.
Just the
best.
the best of the best.
Yeah.
Bobby was the best of the best, and
Yeah.
and he
Yeah,
was.
and while we're going on about the best of the best, we also had some falling out for different reasons with
sure.
different. But one of the other names that comes to mind is Tom from Shimano.
Oh, Tom Brook. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tom Brook.
Best
And you
of
know
the
what?
best.
If it hadn't been for Bob Patterson and Tom Brook, the Fish in Canada show wouldn't be.
Very
Yeah.
well put.
Yeah.
Very well
Would
put.
not be.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were a huge part of it for
Very
sure.
well put. And Marcel Dubois from Princecraft had his role playing in all this. By the way, he passed away.
Mercer.
you know
And
he
again,
passed-
passed away. Bad. It's too bad because I really miss that man.
Yeah.
But that is a perfect example of 19 years of taking no for an answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
19 years. I would call him once every 2, 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah.
And we have a small check because we got nothing in common, obviously, at that point. And he hated me, hated us, including you guys.
Why are you dragging us into
No,
it?
because
We
he
had
used to tell me, he said, I hate you guys. I hate you guys. I hate you guys because you use a different boat.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Because he wanted us to use, at the time, Springbok
Right.
and Princecraft.
Right.
And then finally, and they were, we couldn't use that because they were OMC.
At the time.
Right.
Yep.
And so when that switched over, all of a sudden, things changed. So after 19 years of no, it became a yes.
They've been with us ever since. Thank
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
goodness. So I'm going to throw a name out, and I want you to give me the first thing that comes to mind. And don't filter yourself.
Okay.
Mike Miller.
Wow.
Okay.
Really?
The reason I bring that up is because to this day, there are people out there in the audience that burned on their psyche forever is the episode where we had you and Mike arguing in the sound booth
In the radio show.
on the radio show. in the sound booth where you fired him. And people think that really took place. So I want to put that on the table for you to chew on and digest, if you would.
Okay. Well, and obviously by my just prior comment, to give you an indication of what I think of the Fishing Canada show and what I think of the show that spun off from it, which is FNC, which is supposed to be a reality show. Okay. I thought that the reality show was really a piece of shit, quite frankly, and shouldn't have even been in our vault. It shouldn't have been there. We had a winner, we have a winner, and it continues to win. And so you keep Michael Schumacher, you keep pushing him out until he falls down and almost dies on the ski hill. I mean, you keep pushing him out. You don't get him to race go-karts. So in the verse of that, the radio show was real. It was real.
It was live. It was a live, real show.
It was real. In other words, it was supposed to be about what we're doing right this morning, talking, except other than the swearing and the cursing. We're supposed to talk about current events and life in the fishing industry. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, then we had a fishing show that was reality. But Angela, you can't read reality enough. You have to script reality. Mm-hmm. Well, the two don't mix together. So it was basically a scripted part that should have never been an unscripted show. Mm-hmm. That people still get confused. Did I fire him that morning? That was all planned that I was going to fire him.
But
and all I needed was the right words, and he gave me the right reason. Just his attitude gave me reason to do that.
So in your head, that was real. What took place that day on the show was real.
Now, there was a good inclination that we should have done that anyway.
Okay.
But it gave me the opportunity to do it, so we did it.
Okay. All right.
So was he fired after that incident?
No. He was with you.
No, I didn't. I thought you just confused me there because I thought
I'm confused too.
Because I knew it was set up.
But
it was a reality show that was brought into a real show.
Right.
Okay. The reality was let's fire Mike Miller, but we decided to do it on a real show.
Right.
And so once I wasn't going to do it, but once he started talking the way he did, the kind of the hipster shoot from the hip kind of bullshit kind of guy that he can be. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's when I took exception. And on the real show, I fired him in reality style.
Right.
But was he fired? No, he was not fired.
See, I don't know if people remember when Mike first came in. When we first met Mike, he was a rebel. Like, he was a wild man. That's I have to call him a wild man. He was a single man that just did what he wanted when he wanted. There's no doubt about it. Now, he's definitely morphed into a different person now being a father, et cetera, et cetera. But he was, just to let everybody know, he was a loose cannon back in it. And not a loose cannon, I wouldn't call him that. Just a wild man. It'd be a perfect description for him.
He was a wild spirit, and that's why we hired him.
Yeah, fun and funny. Like, if that's what you're looking for, that's that guy. He epitomized that to a T. He still does to this day, but back then with this personality, because he was a funny guy and all he wanted to do was have fun, right? So
I want to go back to the Mike Miller era. So that didn't work out for us because it was probably one of the most embarrassing periods for me personally in the history of the brand.
Because, the FNC show itself?
Well, what it turned out to be.
Right.
Because we aired something without checking, one of the few times without checking with the constituents at the time who are the audience. We just didn't even tell them. We just sprung it on them and said, here's what we've morphed into. And I would say that it was an overwhelming, the only catastrophe that I can, in terms of marketing and branding, that I can compare it to, although obviously not on the same scale, would be the Coke thing that they did Coke with the Coke Classic, Coke Zero, whatever their new brand was, right? They didn't ask anybody. They just said, yeah, you know what? We can feed them this stuff. We'll rebrand it, take some shit out, and they'll love it. And the whole world said, no. Well, on a different scale, a different level, that's what happened to us.
Well, you got to back up.
That's what happened to us. right?
Back up a little bit, though. I don't remember the exact years, but when government gets involved, it's never a good thing. Never, under any circumstances, in any country, in anybody's world, it's not a good thing. So all of a sudden, the Canadian, what is your regulatory board that
CRTC?
CRTC. Doug Wilson, are you referring to our good friend Doug Wilson at CRTC?
I don't remember the name, Angelo.
Doug Wilson.
I think it was something different, but okay. But the CRTC in my era.
Yes.
Okay. One day, well, no, it started before that. It started with Global Television kicking off a hunting show off air because somebody's wife in Vancouver got upset that there was a duck being falling out of the air. So why are they watching a hunting show? They don't want to see that.
This is true what he's saying here.
Okay, so anyway, the woman was successful in convincing one of her I don't even know who it was, but that was the real story because I confirmed it with other people.
Oh, I know that was a real story. Of course, yeah.
So anyway, so they started throwing just at random, just the whole livelihood for the hunting show that we had, or not us, but other people had, gone. And then they decided to move into the fishing shows. And we make our living. We can't sell commercials for the price that they sell them. Okay, we just can't do it. And we don't have enough 24 hours of airtime. We just don't have enough to do it on the same format as they do. So we also have to sell product placement, sponsorship, billboards. We have to wear T-shirts. We have to wear hats. We have to wear condom, whatever the hell it is that we got to wear.
Right? Fishing Canada brought to you by Trojan.
When was the last time you had one of those on, by the way? I'm just curious.
It's been a long time. I miss it. Anyway.
And he's never had to fully unroll one either, as a matter of fact. He doesn't,
God, no.
Absolutely not. I just get the little thumb one, Anyway. So the CRTC decided to step in and stop that. And arbitrarily, I think we had 16, 17 people working for us at the time. I don't remember the number. It was a good sized number.
Don't let the truth ever stand in the way of a good story, by the way.
We'll count them. There was 4 or 5 morte femmes. There was 4 or 5 morte femmes that were working in the coop in the back, just for you.
Okay,
there's 5 of them.
Go.
Okay. Anyways, they basically took our livelihood and decided we shouldn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
So that's when we created shit like The Last Call, FNC.
Last Call was great, man. That was
but it was great, but we lost money at it.
Well, that's because our sales department was asleep at the switch. Let's be honest about it. Let's call a spade a spade. The production element was beyond real. I mean, it was an incredible feat. But the sales fell a little bit short of their target.
When the fishing shows started getting targeted too, though, it was because of blatant product placement in shows to the point of.
But that's what we're all about.
No, it was embarrassing to us.
Charlie Ray brought it to a whole new level.
The new Charlie Law, the CW syndrome, Charlie Ray syndrome. He'd say, well, this Apple 15 is a great, I got a new AG case on it, you got to buy that. This Yeti mug here, and this pen that says, what does that say?
That's right.
It says, you know what I mean? But blatant throughout the whole show. And probably Doug Wilson was the guy at the time. He was right at that time anyways. And he probably saw that.
Let him know. Let him tell
I remember Doug Wilson because I had a boss in electrical called Doug Wilson, and he was an awesome guy. So I'll never forget.
Him? Okay, yeah.
And so when you looked, we watched Charlie's shows, and we always said, my God, how does he get away with this stuff? And finally somebody said, what the hell's going on here? They can't get away with this stuff. Yeah. They took everybody off the air, right? So we know it was the Charlie Ray syndrome for sure.
And for us, we researched this and you know what? In this part of the rules, we shouldn't be doing that. But if we have a sporting event, we can do that, and that's why we created The Last Call. I mean, let's be realistic here, because then we could actually put up a logo right where they were trying to pitch to and get away with it because it wasn't considered offensive. So that's
and we learned that from TSN, because we said, why can TSN put up all of this billboarding and we can't on our show? And the answer was, well, because it's a live event. We said, oh yeah? Okay, I'll give you a live event.
Watch this. Watch me go. Oh God, that's funny. That is funny.
Anyways, as you can tell, we could probably do a
Sorry.
12-month series on the things the antics of the Fishing Canada show, its history. It's
Fishing Canada with Uncle Reno. That's what we call it.
Oh my God, I would love to do that. That's what we need to do. We need to have you on as a regular.
What about on our 40th? We're going to shoot this year,
Yes.
2025. We're 40th season. What would Reno Viola say to coming on an episode of actual
You
fishing?
know what? I would like to go back to, I think it was called Fishing Lake Lodge, around that pool table, and shoot and fart my way through another game.
And you know what? Just like Dave Delory, our cameraman Vova here, would really appreciate us all farting around him. He'd do the same appreciation here. So,
boy.
No, but really, for our 40th year, what do you think about trying to get out for a shoot?
No, I don't mind it. I don't really. Yeah.
What are the conditions that we need to look for though? Because you're not exactly young.
Well, I told you I fly
man.
first class everywhere.
Well, that'll just be a little upgrade on your visa.
Just because you guys got to drive the boats.
That's true. That's true.
But
But you have to be in the truck with us for that whole trap because the boys have never traveled with you. Right? You know what I mean? We got Dean and Nick and Steve and Vova and guys like that. We have to have Reno on that whole trip with the walkie-talkies, truck to truck or whatever. We have to do all that. So it's all going to be
Remember
part
the
of it.
walkie-talkies in Morocco?
No.
No, I don't.
What happened?
What the hell?
The Comendador. Remember the Comendador?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The walkie-talkie.
We were talking on the walkie-talkies back and forth between the vehicles. Oh, Mr. Viola, stop.
Yeah.
They're going to get me fired. They're going to fire me.
Yeah, there's a story there. There's a 15 or 20-minute story that we could share. But anyways,
we'll look into it. We'll look into it. We'll stay in and like Ann says, if you have anything you'd not want to do.
Do we need to look for a place that has maybe a setup that's more conducive to taking care of somebody your age, or how do we handle it?
Like a nice Russian body massage every night or something like that? Do we need something like that? Well, I'll be in touch with you, buddy. We're setting stuff up as we go. So I'll be in touch with you. That'd be awesome.
20 some odd years later and nothing's changed. Reno has come and now he will go, and I'm going to have to spend the next year trying to patch things up. Nothing's changed. It's exactly the way it's always been. On that note, Big Brother, we see this problem. We don't do this enough, and that's why we always run into these ridiculous times. I think Dean was telling us the last one was 3 hours. And
it's the longest one ever.
The longest one ever. So let's make it more often. Let's have you on as a regular. I know I said this before, I think, and then it never happened. The only people who are standing in the way for this happening is you and me.
Well, okay, the other thing is, too, I don't know how many people remember me, number one. Number two, to your disadvantage, if they don't remember me and they don't like what it is that we're doing, so I'm sorry, I guess what I'm telling you, unless the guy's 55 to 75 years old, he won't remember or like what we're doing.
I think you're wrong. One of your biggest fans is probably under 25. You got people that have heard about you that love this kind of stuff.
Okay, and I love them back.
Right.
I love it.
Right. So don't sell yourself short. The fact that you're part of the Fishing Canada heritage, the fact that you were one of the builders, the fact that, forget all that stuff, you hang yourself out on the line every day, regularly. And I think people admire that. They may not agree with it. They might not necessarily like that sort of character, but they do love it. They love the entertainment. They love the fact that a human being isn't afraid to represent himself as himself. And I think that's one of the things that we're losing today. You mentioned, and I'll throw it out there again, you said the woke world. Well, you know what? To some extent, totally different level, that's what that is. It's people who now want to represent themselves. right? And you're the pioneer of that
He's
stuff.
the king of woke.
Absolutely, in a different way, but you're saying, hey, this is me.
I was woke when it wasn't real. Well, okay, in a different way. You're right. I'm
You were
not
a
woke.
cool woke, buddy. You
No,
were
you're
a cool
anything
woke.
but woke. I was woke for my time.
Yeah, you want to say, hey, this is me. This is Reno Viola here, guys. Don't ignore me.
Maybe they've taken the word wolf. He was the wolf, and they changed it to woke. Maybe
Exactly.
they've changed some letters or on juxtaposition.
Anyway, I appreciate the vote of confidence. I hope they like it. You know what, folks? Chime in below if there's something there that you want to answer to or comment on.
Absolutely.
Or that you hate me. If you hate me, that's fine too. Put it down there and show us that you hate me.
It's an emotion,
There you go.
good or bad, right?
I don't hate you, buddy. I love
I know.
you. I love you.
I know, Peter. I know.
We'll talk real soon, my friend.
Okay. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks
See you,
for your
buddy.
time. Take care. Wow. I'm wore out.
A minute, an hour and 30.
I'm wore out.
Hour and a half. Well, we're not going to get the complete 3-hour special. But
We could have.
we could have. Yeah.
I stroked stuff off my list I wanted to talk to him about. But no, you know, and I mean that in the most complimentary way that I can. The man is, first of all, he's a pillar in this industry. And I think there's a lot of things that happen in this industry that got it to where it is today that we take for granted. But he
had a play in it,
huge
for sure.
part in it.
Yeah.
A massive part
Yeah,
in
I
it.
agree.
And I don't think people realize that. And and it bothers me.
Well,
Bothers me to no end. But anyways, that is life.
you know what? He's as hard-headed, upfront, and everything as he is. He wouldn't be the first guy to say, "I did that" in the industry.
No!
Either. He's the guy that just sits back and says, "It's done. Okay, let's move on."
Move on to the
You know?
next one.
Yeah,
There.
That's the type of guy.
You know, it's behind us.
Yeah. So
Anyways, that are it, folks. I do want to remind everybody we've got the contest, ongoing contest. Do we have a code, Dean? Is this a code thing or no?
Mr. Peter has code.
Okay, why don't you read them the
you want
code
that now, and
before
then
I
we'll
go?
do. Okay.
All right.
Then I'm not even going to say we interrupt this program because we're not. We are
go ahead
during
and
this
interrupt it.
program.
Right.
This week's code is Reno.
No.
That's capital R, capital E, capital N, capital O. Reno.
Do you remember the little piece of video that
10
we did?
free entries, by the way, if you type that code in there. Reno, all
where we
caps.
had Reno walking into a room saying, "Hello, my name is Reno Viola," and the moderator said,
Who?
"Who?"
Who are you, sir? We
Sorry.
we reiterated that to Reno so many times. That was a point where Reno would laugh at us because we would say whenever he'd say, because then after that Reno would answer the phone. "Hello, Reno Viola here." In the background would go, "Who?" And then Reno would just get pissed off and he'd laugh at his own. Anyways,
You and I busted his balls. so
that was a
many
good
times.
one. That was a ball buster for sure. Anyways, for 10 free entries, Reno all caps RENO.
By the way, the contest is brought to you by J&B Cycle. Cycle and Marine,
Beautiful image for
Ontario's
those watching
largest.
behind there.
All right, Mercury dealer, Mercury and Princecraft dealer, sorry, in Ontario, if not the largest. They've been around since 1970. I told you, I met the original owner of J&B before Rob was involved, because I sold him Vespa scooters. Of all things,
They sold them up in there,
Timmins,
and,
yeah, of all
no
things,
way.
yeah.
The cycle part of it.
Anyways, now they are your source for outboard motors, boats, and more importantly, complete packages that'll get you, your friends, your family out on the water fishing and or recreating in comfort.
Recreating. Wow,
yeah.
I like that.
Enjoy.
Interesting.
That is jbcycle.com if you're going to the website, is JNB Cycle and Marine if you're looking them up in person. Good folks to deal
well
with.
said.
What else have we got? And of course, the contest I'm talking about is on fishingcanada.com, the gateway to the portal to your next fishing adventure.
Come on now.
Thank you. On behalf of, I'm wore out, so I got to call it quits right now. On behalf
Tap.
of the
The
entire
old
team, I'm tapping
MMA
out.
tap.
Reno got me to tap out again. On behalf of the entire team, Vova behind the lens there as usual. Nick, who just stepped out, he had an urgent, probably.
What's he got over there on his desk? What is that, Dean?
Arizona.
Arizona monster drink.
Yeah,
of some
that was
type.
funny with those bottles this morning.
Oh my God, that was another good one.
Dean Taylor, our producer, he's Peter Bowman. I'm Angelo Viola. Thanks for joining us, folks. We'll talk to you next week. This episode of Outdoor Journal Radio has been brought to you in part by the Invasive Species Centre, protecting Canada's land and water from invasive species. Freedom Cruise Canada, rent the boat, own the memories. J&B Cycle and Marine, your home for all things power sports, boats, and equipment. And Sail, the ultimate destination for your outdoor adventures.